understand. But I don't wanna play your game.
The Earth is very flat.
What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, July 23rd, 2021. It is Friday, which means Friday Night Fights. A little more not moderated than in the past, but Friday Night Fights nonetheless. Hope everybody's doing good today. Looking forward to the weekend. I see we have Gadget Inspector, Brandon Cook, Logan's Run, Cleary, page 42, and Bill G was first. All right. How you guys doing tonight? Gadget says Bill G was first. Yes, sir. Due credit where credit is due. Credit to Bill. Yeah, so what do we got going on tonight? Friday Night Fights. Gonna have a conversation about something. About some stuff we can follow up on that we didn't get to. There was one thing in particular somebody sent me, and I've been looking for the damn link. It was from Yossi. That's right. Okay, so I have a couple things to kick off the conversation and get things going. Gary and Anders Ace, what's up, guys? What's going on? Happy Friday, everyone.
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
How you doing, Farming Ganja? See, we got Allie B tonight. Allie B, what's up, man? Must not be talking tonight. Oh, there you
How you doing, Brandon? How's Mark?
Hey, good. Haven't seen you around in a while.
How's Bob? Yeah, I've been keeping a low profile.
Okay, all
I've
right.
been listening. So I was quite interested. I wanted to talk about something about that Bob the Science Guy's video about the galactic Richard Branson thing.
Oh yeah. You talking about the conversation we had with him last night?
No. It was a video he made, right? And he showed the the rocket. It went up. It went straight up, and they actually started floating before they actually reached the top of the parabola that they do. They actually started floating. He even says, and this is where they started floating before they'd even reached the top. So they shot up, and usually when they do that 0 G, how you get the 0 G is you head down again, right?
Yeah.
But they actually started floating on the way up. If you watch the video, he shows it. So how can they start floating?
I think there may possibly be something to that. It depends on. I don't know exactly how it works, but the
you're thinking
graphics that I've
right,
seen, they go up, and it has to do with the speed. This is what I've heard. It has to do with the speed they're going up, and then they're decelerating because they're kind of turning, and that causes the quote unquote.
But they decelerate inside. You don't start floating in an airplane when it decelerates, right? Or if it's going up. It's like, imagine, if you think about it, if you're on a swing, imagine you swing back and forward, that there's that moment that you feel weightless, but that's when you reach the very top of the swing, right? And for that split second, and then you come back down again.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So it would have to, so that's what I'm saying. So they started floating. I know they're going to make excuses up, but that's impossible because they're inside the actual aircraft. They're inside the actual aircraft, and when the aircraft slows down, they would slow down. They were strapped in. So why would they start? Why,
it's free fall.
Yeah, but it wasn't free fall because they were going up.
No, it's free fall.
No, but they are going up. That's not free fall. If you're heading up, right, you're not in free fall. They didn't. They started floating.
It detached from
they
the
started
rocket.
Floating. No, they were attached. They were attached to that airplane, and the airplane, that so-called thing, was flying straight up, and they began to float before they reached the top of the parabola.
Yeah, because they're in free fall.
No, but they're not, because they're going up the way. They're
It doesn't
falling
matter.
upwards.
It doesn't
that-
matter.
Oh,
Well, it
hold
does
on,
because
Brenda.
they're not in free fall.
No, they are in free
They're
fall.
No, but they're not. They're going up the way.
It doesn't
Falling.
matter
Which
if they're going
direction?
up or
If
not.
you fall, right? If you fall, which direction are you going in? Are you falling up?
Yeah, you
Have
can
you ever
fall up.
fallen up? You're full of shite.
They're
No.
traveling at the
That-
same
that was
speed.
what-
Let's hear this. Let's
That-
hear this explanation. Just
Come on,
give us a
traveling,
good laugh
you can
to start
fall
off,
up,
Friday night.
really?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
traveling
Let's hear
at-
this. How can you fall up, Brenda?
They are traveling at the same speed as the jet, as the plane, or the craft that they're in, right? They're all traveling at the same speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's free fall.
Yeah, continue. That's
Right.
not free fall. They were going up the way,
It
Brenda.
doesn't matter what direction they're going in.
Well, just imagine that it stops thrusting, right? And so when it stops
you're
thrusting,
yeah.
it stops accelerating upwards. But it's just like in a car, when you go to put on the brakes, you still have momentum and you want to go forward, even though the car is slowing down. That's the
Yeah,
same thing that's happening.
Yeah, he's right. He's correct. The passengers and the craft all conserve momentum. There seems to be a difficulty with flat earthers, the conservation of momentum, right?
But the rocket would have
We'll
conserved
figure it
momentum
out
as well.
ourselves there, Brenda. Thank you, though.
But let me finish. I just finished that one. But that airplane or whatever you called it would have been conserving momentum as well.
Yeah. Yeah, now farming ganja, I understand farming ganja's explanation. So they're going up, and this is how I understood it too, Allie. They're going up, say, 100 miles an hour, just to make things simple. And then the craft decelerates to 50, let's say. The
Yeah.
person in it, I guess, is still going, conserving their momentum, and that causes them
No.
to float.
But they
I
were
guess is the
strapped in.
explanation. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's an explanation, but that doesn't explain it, though.
Well, as I was saying it, I'm just like trying to square it in my head how this would work exactly. So you go up, you're in. Well, I think the car is a good one. So you're in a car, it's going 100. They put the brakes on, and yeah, you move forward, right,
But you're
against your
going-
seatbelt.
Yeah, you're going forward, but you're not going upwards. You're
going up,
slowing
that's
down at the
true.
same rate
If
as
the car were traveling straight up, then you'd have
Yeah.
the same kind of effect, right? If the car
Right.
were traveling straight up and then it started to brake, instead of you
No,
being
but to
thrown
conserve
forward,
momentum, you need to have energy still and you would still have to have that energy. And now that when the airplane stops decelerating, you lose that instantly.
Well, how come you don't lose it instantly in a car, though?
Because you're going along forward, not upwards. If your weight's going backwards, right? If you're heading up, your weight's pushing you down, right?
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
True.
So you're not going to
yeah,
start
there is
floating.
a difference in that way because the
Yeah,
direction
of course, man.
gravity when you're in a car is not the same as the direction of motion. You're
Perpendicular,
moving
apparently.
perpendicular to your what is it called?
Your movement, your direction.
Oh, there's a word
So
for
gravity's
it.
going down and you're going forward.
Yeah, you're
well,
going
direction or
forward. You're
whatever.
going perpendicular to gravity, quote unquote. So that's a little different,
Right,
but
but if it,
I mean, that's what they show in the parabolic planes, Allie. So I've never been in one. It'd be interesting to talk to someone who has been on a parabolic flight. But we've all gone over a big hill. You
yeah,
got a
that's
big
another
hill in
good
your town, take
example.
your car and gun it over the hill, right?
yeah, but you're over the hill, so then you'll experience that. If you go over the hill, you'll experience that. But on the way up, you're not
Or imagine
you're not going over.
the
Yeah.
top of a big hill on a roller coaster. Kind of that moment when you reach the very top. That's when you get you float out of your seat.
Right, because your vector of acceleration is changing as it gets ready to point you back downwards. but your momentum of your body is still going forward. There's nothing stopping your body from going up except the seatbelt, right? So you feel like you're floating in the seatbelt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part makes sense. I get where you're coming from, Allie. I'd love to talk to someone who's been on one of those flights because
I mean,
it
if
looks
you
like
look at
fun.
if you look at the parabolic, a parabolic flight, right? You don't start floating until you start heading back down. You don't start floating on the way up, right? It's on the way back down, right?
Well,
Not the
no,
way
that's
up.
what they show in the graphics is that you start floating before you head down. Here, I'll show
No,
on
you
the
don't.
graphic.
Well, I don't. Well, what one? Oh, well, I don't think so. None of the ones
Makes
I've
sense
seen.
to me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, of course it does.
As long
But
as
it's still,
the plane is slowing down faster
but,
than you're slowing down. You know, when
but
it's
you would lose.
ready
There
to
is no
make that
momentum.
top of the hill turn.
Right, what has more momentum, right? What has more momentum? A heavier object or a lighter object?
The heavier, of course.
Right, well, there you go then. So, and you're telling me that the person continues with their momentum more than the airplane.
Well, the airplane could have more drag, and you're nestled inside of it, and you're not dealing with any drag because you aren't cutting through any air. You're in a pocket of air.
Yeah, good.
Here's one, Allie,
Right.
Allie, a graphic. All these graphics show that you start your parabolic flight or your 0G.
You're not screen sharing, Brandon. If you're there, it is. Yeah.
Before you actually even get to the peak. So I'm sure there's some mathematical relationship or whatever between the vector.
It's most likely decelerating.
You think it's decelerating?
That'll play a part in it. It'd most likely be on the way up. You're accelerating, so that force is pushing you back into the seat because of the positive acceleration, and then when you're accelerating on the negative side, that's what's going to essentially push you up. So in the opposite direction.
Sure, it's got something to do
All
with
right,
the
so
turn, though,
if
too,
you're
right?
wait a minute. So if you're continuing up in that direction, wouldn't you start moving forward in the airplane then? They were floating freely.
To a certain extent.
They didn't go zooming up to the back, or they didn't go zooming up towards the front. That's what you're saying. If they're continuing their momentum, and the airplane is slowing down, and you've seen the rate that it was slowing down. If you look at the speed of it, and you watched how it was slowing down as it was going up.
Yeah, the deceleration. So when you accelerate, you're going to be pushed back. When you decelerate, you're pushed forward. So in that relationship of the parabolic flight, when you start to decelerate, you're going to be pushed forward, and then once there's no acceleration or a type of free fall, that's when it's at weightlessness. But you're going to experience all of those forces depending on what the plane's doing.
Well, you wouldn't experience what do you call it, weightlessness on the way up.
No, most of it no. But once you start decelerating, then you can.
Yeah, but you're not braking; it's decelerating. Remember, so okay, if you say that, right, they should have shot forward and hit the front of the plane or the back of the plane, because that plane, you're saying that now they're detached from inside, they're independent of that airplane. Now you're saying
they are dependent on it. They're dependent on the forces that are acting upon them. That's what they're dependent on. It just so happens that the plane is dictating it.
Well, that is an interesting point. Why don't they keep going forward? So if you're going up in a rocket, I don't know what kind of an arc it made, if any. Actually, I think I've seen a graphic. It was similar to the 0G parabolic flight arc, but we could look it up. If that's going straight up and it decelerates and you're conserving your momentum, why wouldn't you just keep going forward and get squished up into?
You're still being acted upon all the forces involved as well as resistance. So it's all of those combined that are dictating what's happening. So you're going to feel like you're going forward, but it's just like in your car when you decelerate, even fast. You're going to be impacted by the seatbelt. there is some air resistance involved. There's all these things that are involved that'll dictate what forces, what non-net force is imparted on you. So yeah, there is conservation of momentum to a certain extent, but you're still reacting to everything going on with you. So it won't be like oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's say it was going up at 100 miles an hour, and suddenly the rocket decelerated to 10 miles an hour suddenly. Obviously, in that case, you're going to fly forward and slam into the front of the rocket.
Agree.
So it's probably got something to do with the relationship between the, speed and distance.
Right, the deceleration. So if you're decelerating at 1 mile an hour, it's essentially, for lack of a better explanation, it's a 1 mile per hour kind of force. But if you decelerate 70 miles an hour, in 1 second, you're going to feel that 70 mile per hour difference within that 1 second. So it's the process of the rate of acceleration, whether it's positive or negative. So if it's a slow deceleration, it's a slow force acting on you in the that opposite direction. But if it's a fast deceleration, then of course it's a fast force on you.
Yeah, all right, so they'd have to design it just right. I'm thinking it, Allie, so they don't slam into the front and whatever.
Yeah, well, last point I'll make then, right? So when they take their seatbelt off, right? So they're attached to the airplane, right? So they're flying straight up. So they take their seatbelt off and they suddenly start floating. Where did the extra momentum come from? Because they were attached to an airplane. And they take the seatbelt off and they start floating.
Yeah, they're probably pushing off or something. If you're essentially in a weightlessness environment, any type of influence is going to push you in that direction with essentially no resistance. So any small, tiny little push is going to push you every time. The reason why we don't do it on the ground in normal environment is because we have friction involved. That would be the biggest problem.
Yeah, but it was slowing down. It was slowing down, right? So it's already, then they took their seatbelt, the thing was already slowing down, meaning that you would have been slowing down as well. And then they took it off. You're still inside an airplane.
That image literally proves me right. It says 0G before, during, and after the hump. It literally proves what I was saying right.
Were you not listening? I already brought this graphic up. I'm sharing this.
Yeah, it proves what I said is right. It proves me right.
No, Brenda, you're wrong.
They are in free fall before they hit the crest.
They're not in free fall while they're going up.
It says 0G.
They're still going up.
0G is free fall. That's free fall. Is 0G.
No.
Yes, it is.
Actually, Brandon, you're incorrect.
Brandon,
you're incorrect.
Okay, hold on a minute. If you want to define it like that, that's fine. But they are not, you cannot fall without falling. You're fucking butchering the meaning of words. You can't be in free fall while you're going up.
Free fall is when there's only gravity acting on you and no other forces. That's what free fall is. That's how it's defined. The moon is in free fall. The moon is in
Brandon, you're getting hung up on the definition, on the word fall. You seem to think that you have to be going in a particular direction to be in free fall. You don't.
Well, why didn't you just explain that we have this technical meaning of the word free fall that means you can be falling when you're going up?
Right.
You think the normal person would understand that? That when you say free fall, you mean that something is going upwards? Does that make sense to you?
I think colloquially we think of free fall as you're saying, like someone jumping out of a plane and falling down in free fall. I think that's a colloquial and common usage of it, but there is a scientific or proper definition for it which doesn't dictate a particular direction. And I think that's the confusion, where we're using a common term, so we think fall, we're going down towards Earth, but the actual definition opens up more usage for it.
Well, if you guys want to define it as that, that's fine. But using the word fall when something is going up is really unintuitive. And it makes me wonder why you've decided to define it like that, or why whoever decided to define it like that. It sounds like doublethink.
Right. That
Right,
that
can
one
I give the
particular word, you're
definition,
right.
Wait a minute, listen, one
The
second. right?
one particular
I'll
word
give
is
you the
correct, but the
I'll
term
give you the
free fall.
definition, right? I'll give you the definition. I googled definition free fall science. A free falling object is an object that is falling under the sole influence of gravity. We all know gravity pulls us towards the earth. Any object that is being acted upon only by the force of gravity is said to be in a state of free fall. Free
Yes,
falling
but
objects
in the case of
do not
somebody
encounter
going,
any.
sorry, Ellie, go ahead.
No, and you got no, I'm finished. That was it. That was
In
it.
the case of something, a person in a rocket that has been thrust upwards, and the rocket is decelerating, and the person is still maintaining that upwards momentum, I would say that there is still the force of that thrust acting on them, not just gravity.
Well, it wouldn't be the force that's continuing to act on it. It would
Right.
be conserving the momentum that it was imparted with, and now the only force that's acting on it is gravity in that moment, even though you're still going up. So you're just conserving the previous force, but now the only force is gravity, despite
You are
going up.
still under the influence of that previous force, is my point.
Right, that's fine, but you're not being acted upon that force in that moment. That's
Not
the key
actively.
difference.
I get that.
Right,
I
right.
understand
That's
that part
probably
of
what
it.
it is, yeah.
I wouldn't imagine someone being shot from a catapult or a human cannon on the way up as ever being described as being in free fall.
Yeah.
You would experience weightlessness. You would experience weightlessness in that period. There's a period around the crest, like this graphic shows, where you experience 0G.
Hey, do you know what, Brenda? Let's send you in a cannon. I'll pay for it and we'll fire you out a cannon. I'd love to see that. We'll fire
I
you
really
out a
don't
cannon.
care.
Should we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. So
Well,
the
if you
point
landed
is,
on your head, you
yeah,
wouldn't
that's
do
fine.
much
That's
damage,
fine.
right? Because there's
Right,
nothing
right.
in there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. That's okay. So the moon technically is in free
Oh, the
fall
moon.
around the Earth. The moon is in
When
free
we're talking
fall.
about no, when we're
around the
talking
Earth.
about the parabolic flight, the galactic space galactic, not the moon.
Yeah, it's in. We're talking about free fall, and satellites that orbit the Earth and the moon is a satellite.
Oh, now you're on
see,
satellites.
there it
in free
is.
fall.
There it is. There is the fuckery that I thought was coming.
What fuckery? What are you talking about?
The moon is in free fall.
Yes.
Okay.
See, and that's where I in the most technicalities that I could provide in the most pedantic way, I don't think it would be scientifically honest to say that it's actually in free fall, because it's still affected by the sun's gravity as well. But again, I'm being so fucking pedantic about it.
I
But
mean,
it's in
saying that
free
the moon
fall
is in
in
free fall
relation to
just
Earth.
No, I totally understand that. I know. That's why I prefaced it the way I did.
Yeah.
it honestly seems like a bastardization of the term free fall.
But that's the English language. You park in a driveway, you drive in a parkway. So it's just the English language, and the term is free fall. It's not you're freely falling. It is the term free fall.
And
Yeah,
the
which
fact
means
that
you fall as an object that is under the influence of gravity. Right?
which
That's
the
what
moon,
free
which
fall
the
is.
moon,
And
right.
gravity pulls, apparently according to you clowns, gravity pulls you towards the earth. So why would you start floating? You're
What are you
constantly
talking
getting
about?
dragged back. Well, I don't know, what am I talking about? The moon.
Yeah. What about it?
Or the sun. Shall we say the sun? The sun's gravity pulls you up, does it? Or what? Brenda.
So I guess we could
I
say,
don't understand
Allie,
the question.
that the Earth is in free fall around the sun.
Yes.
Yeah, in relation to, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
There you are.
So I don't understand what the opposition to that is. The fact that physics has special, very technical definitions for things, just because they don't
I
always.
just googled that, Brenda. I googled the definition in science of free fall. and it said what I said there. Google it. You put science at the end of it if you want to be pedantic about it, and you put science definition free fall science, and it'll come up and it'll tell you exactly what I just said there.
Yeah, that free fall is when an object's only influence is under the influence of gravity. The moon is
Right.
only under the influence of gravity, so the moon is in free fall. There you go.
No, but about the people floating I'm talking about, those people that were in that galactic thing. They
Right.
floated.
If the only force that's acting upon it is
What happened to
is
their
gravity,
free fall?
then it's technically free fall.
I mean, if that's the way
So that
you
was-
guys define it, and that's how you're using it, that's whatever. It just
I think it's pretty pedantic and kind of a waste of time, sort
Yeah.
of, because the effects of free fall and how we describe reality would be more interesting, but the actual term and definition, I find that very uninteresting, kind of unproductive.
What's more interesting
my
is the
belief-
fact that
Oh.
what's
Why
more
don't you go,
interesting. What's more interesting is the fact that when he went up there, he saw the curvature of the Earth.
Did he say that?
Yeah,
When?
when
did
he
he say
touched when he touched back down.
Oh, did he? All right, can you
Yeah.
got a link to that then? You got a link to that?
I'll let you look for it.
Yeah, give us a link. Like, go
I'll
and
actually
find it.
take a look. I'll actually take a look. Which one? Or which one of them that said it? Bezos or
Not
Who was
Bezos.
who was the other one? Branson?
Richard
Branson,
Branson.
yes.
Richard
Yeah,
Branson.
Branson
Okay.
said.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Branson said-
I haven't done any research on either of them. I've seen small clips, but I haven't looked into anything. So this would be a good opportunity.
Yeah, but Brenda should find it because she's heard it. She heard him say it, so she should be able to find it, right? Chop, chop, Brenda. Let's see it, and then you'll hear no more about it from me.
anyway. Let me just introduce everybody else on the panel. Biodual, Chad, Enigma, Face One, Aaron. What's going on? Geo, Gummy Bear, Jace, Phoenix Rising 86, Silent Zero, The Real Bob Dole, and Tony V.
What's up?
What's up, man? Hey, your mic sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm living, doing good. Just moved, so I'm ready to talk
good.
shit in another county.
Sweet. Congratulations on having your move over. That always sucks.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Well, what's going on, guys? It's Friday night, so open topic. If anybody has anything that they wanted to discuss.
Hey, Brandon,
It's Friday night fight night, right? It's Friday night fight night. All right. I knew I came in the right night.
I put a
Wait,
link
Wait,
in
did
the
you
chat
change the
for
night too?
Hold on. What's that, Tony?
Did you change the night? Like, it's still Friday night fight night, right? So I can like yell and talk shit and be okay.
Yeah,
If
it's
not, I'm
still a
having-
little more
I'm having
moderated to
mute.
try to cut down on the people talking over each other and stuff. But yeah, it's still Friday night fight.
Okay, cool.
We're trying
I'll
not
moderate
to
myself.
sound like a complete and giant clusterfuck. But yeah, it's all good.
Okay, cool. I wanted to add to that.
All right, Farming Ganja, what's up, man?
Yeah, hey, Tucker Carlson did a piece last night about the Blue Origin's flight. He called it "Why Does the Media Slobber Over Jeff Bezos?" I put a link in the chat. It's pretty funny. It's about
having
maybe
a
4 minutes long if you want to check it out.
Yeah, I'll probably get busted for playing this one. Let me see. if I can
Yeah,
load
I
it.
bet you would. That would be dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
Oh,
you
what
can.
about, I've got a topic then. What about Coriolis then?
Well,
what
let's-
about
let's-
it?
before we go on to that, Farming Gun, what does he say in this? Just out of curiosity,
sorry.
I'll put the
He-
link in the
he-
chat.
He called it Phallus One, and basically tied it to having like a midlife crisis. You know, Jeff Bezos having a midlife crisis, going into space. And then I'll put a screenshot of what the kind of the capper was, the Tulsi Gabbard quote. And she said, "The only problem I have with this Bezos Blue Origin space rocket ship going into outer space is that he's going to come back."
Ah! That's funny. I didn't realize that this got political. This whole Bezos Blue Origin thing.
Well, it's just the fact that he owns like the Washington Post, and then he gave like $100 million to CNN, to this guy on CNN, and so they give him just this overwhelmingly favorable coverage in the media about this stuff.
If I was to put money on it, I would say that Amazon will be the first hologram we see on the moon. That's just me, though. I believe that
first ads on the moon.
I think Amazon will be the first like holographic image that's been projected off the moon. Or a sign up there that says Amazon rocks or some shit. I don't know, but it's going to happen within the next 10 years. I bet there'll be a sign on the moon that says fucking some kind of corporation. I don't know.
It's got to be so. It has to be so massive. I don't see 10 years at all.
I don't know why anybody would spend money to do that. It'd have to be huge.
It's a permanent ad that reaches 8 billion people.
But Denmark would be pleased.
Put a billboard where the whole world could see it. That would be crazy.
Denmark would be pleased, and of course you would change your mind then, right?
Well, I don't think we.
No more flat Earth.
Would that show to you guys, or would that prove to you guys that the moon is physical enough?
I already know the moon is physical.
I know he's not asking you.
It's there.
If there were actually something on the moon, like that we could spot from the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have the reflectors.
So. Yeah.
They have reflectors. I mean, I don't know if humans went up there, but there's definitely reflectors there that you could bounce signals off of.
Yeah, but he's not talking about that. He's talking about something you can physically see, whether it be with a zoomed camera or a telescope.
Okay.
Yeah, that would add credence to it being a physical object. I mean, a personal opinion from down here on the ground looking at the thing, it does look like a physical thing, but it's also odd because sometimes you can't see half of it.
Well, there's
sometimes
half
it looks
of it
like
we
it's
can never see.
translucent. What?
There's half of it we can never see.
The backside, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when it's a half moon or whatever.
Yeah, but that's pretty easy to demonstrate, to be honest, though. I mean, if you're in a dark room with a basketball and you have a flashlight, you're only going to see what the light hits. So if the light's not hitting the left side of it, from your perspective, you're not going to see the left side, and it'll look like it blends into the background.
And there is earthshine. There is earthshine.
Yes, there is. But what can you really trust if you can't see someone's backside? I mean, you're not going to trust that they're real.
Well, you just go around to the back and look from there.
Well, you're right.
Dogs
You're right.
Sniff each other when they greet each other.
You sniff each other. Yeah, you sniff each other.
You got to check out who you're talking to. You got to really know who you're talking to.
Hey, you smell like moon. You smell like just like moon. Yep, you're real.
I mean, if dogs do it, humans should do it.
Yeah,
that's what I
just
think.
do the dog greeting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've sniffed to someone's ass before, but I went to jail right like 10 minutes after that. But it's all good. That's another story altogether.
Do you have to go door to door or something? I won't go into detail.
No, I was at a bar, but it's all good.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I think we've all sniffed somebody's ass at one time or another, Tony.
So, yes, we have. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I know the moon does look physical to me. I'm not a proponent of it being some kind of
well, yeah, it's got shadows.
fakery. Yeah.
Yeah,
the shadow thing seems pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm looking at a full moon right now. I'm looking at a big bright full moon right now driving through Germany. It was red about an hour ago, and now it's just like pure white.
Let me guess. It was more red and closer to the atmosphere, like go closer to the horizon it was. It was bigger the closer to the horizon it was, too.
It's actually going down. No, it was going down. It's going down, so it was further away from the horizon.
Are you trying to tell me that it was... Wait, no, I'm just talking about size right now. Okay, the color could be different. It depends on where you're at. But the size,
it was bigger when it was red. It was bigger when it was red.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Okay,
but it was higher up. It was higher up than it is now because it's going down. It's going down now.
Size and color are both important, Tony.
Yes, they are. You're right.
That's what she said.
That's definitely what she said. That's why I don't live with her anymore. But
yeah,
that's good.
It's traffic, but you'll laugh if you watch the video that I posted there about Coriolis. It's about 2 minutes long. Just watch it, and everything that Rumpus says, Brenda says, it's like everything they said, it totally debunks what they say. It's an optical illusion. There is no force. There is no Coriolis force. Right? It's an optical illusion, and they say it 3 times, 4 times to remind you. By the way,
it's a fictitious force.
An optical illusion. It's not a force. No, it's not even fictitious. It's not even real.
Wrong again, but you're always wrong. So.
But
it's a fictitious force.
Don't say fictitious.
No, go and read it.
Apparent. They say apparent force.
Yeah, because it's apparently forcing things to do something that it wouldn't normally do. That's the definition.
Ali, if it's entirely fictitious, how do you explain hurricanes?
Yeah, for real. Like on hurricanes on a flat Earth at the equator, which would be halfway in the disk, halfway between the edge of the disk or whatever you guys are calling the edge of the disk and the center north, it would be right there. That's when the hurricanes would switch directions. And I don't know, like what's happening right in the middle? Are there 2 disks spinning in different directions and making the hurricane spin in different directions? Or I don't know.
Why would that happen?
Well, no, I mean, like, okay, on the equator, the hurricanes, like, visibly and to everyone on the Earth, unless you're crazy, switch directions. Like from the north to the south, right in the center, it does switch directions. Like the hurricanes rotate different directions. Like on a flat Earth, you'd have to explain why on a disk it would start rotating different directions at the equator, which is flat.
Yeah. You wouldn't get hurricanes or cyclones at all on a flat Earth.
At all.
You wouldn't get any rotation at all.
I mean, I don't think you would. I don't know.
I love
we don't
when
live
you
on a
guys
flat
start
Earth.
with this shit. When you start defining what would happen on a flat Earth and then saying, well, that didn't
That's
happen.
why
You guys know that's just bullshit.
No,
it's just critical thinking. It's critical thinking, that's all.
I just said,
It's
like,
not
No,
critical thinking.
basically, it's not considering any alternatives.
Yes,
it could
but
just not be the thing that you say. What you're trying to do is apply your rules for your model to a different model entirely. That is just retarded.
Well,
But
what,
if
It could just not be the thing that you think it is causing it in the first place.
If our model follows logic, and like all of a sudden you're going across the land, and all of a sudden the hurricanes start going in a different direction when you pass a certain point. You walk past a certain point on the disk, and they start rotating in a different direction. What the fuck would make that do that? Because they do that. You can't say they don't do that. If you do, then you're just lying to yourself. And
Right,
you can be.
I didn't say they don't do that.
I
What
know,
I'm
yeah,
saying is
but
there
why
is a
would they
proposed,
logically?
there's a proposed assumption of why it does that. Saying that proposed assumption is automatically the reason on a different model is just stupid.
No,
It's a different model entirely, so you wouldn't.
But until you can show it working on your model, until you can show it working on a flat disk,
You can't show it working on a ball.
Easy on a globe. It's easy on a globe.
No,
you have a bulge.
You can't show it working on a ball at all.
What are you talking about? We already did it. It's already done.
No, you didn't.
It's already done. Yes, it is. I'm sorry you don't understand it.
What are you
understand
talking about,
what it
Tony?
would take to show it working on a ball? You'd have to spin a ball freely, have water stick to it, and then have storms form on it. You can't do
we're not talking
that.
about water. If you put a disc that has a bunch of like perforations, like a bunch of holes in it, like I say, 1 million holes in it. It's a sphere with 1 million holes, and you rotated it. There's going to be a center point where the things start rotating different. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry. But if I have to get a ball and put a whole bunch of holes in it and put smoke in the middle, it's good. I mean, how can you not logically see that happening?
Because
how can you not logically see that it's caused by the different forces? So you've got
Are you under the impression that there's giant holes all over the Earth?
East to west, right?
How else would you?
The sun's going from east to west, right? So
that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It's got cold air coming from the middle. It's got cold air coming from the outside. It's got warm air in the center. All those things are colliding along with the sun, creating, some kind of force as it goes through thermal, putting energy into the system, and it's spinning off the hurricane.
But the problem with that explanation is that the sun doesn't always pass over the same spot, and yet the same spots or the same equator is the marking spot for where it changes direction.
Yes,
Right.
because
So,
on
so
Earth,
the zenith of the sun changes from tropic to tropic. This effect is occurring.
The sun, then it would be changing.
Right.
Well,
this
you've
effect
got
is
the-
occurring in respect to the equator. So we know that if the sun has any influence, it's a negligible influence on why this occurs at all.
No, highly doubtful. That's
very
true.
much so.
You've got probably the biggest influence is the cold in the south and the cold in the north, and the collision of the different temperatures in the center, right?
Yes, but you don't see how on a center on a flat disk that the center is so arbitrary. Like there's a halfway point between the middle and the end. You have to have a halfway point. You guys don't have a model that shows us a halfway point from the middle, very center of your flat Earth to the end.
You're acting like this is all perfectly aligned. It's not.
But it is, because at a certain point, all the fucking hurricanes rotate different direction. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, there is a fine line.
Understand that.
There's a fine line that doesn't change.
It does not.
Look at the picture I posted in chat.
Restating the observation doesn't make your cause the one.
Hurricanes kills you guys, but I love to argue with you guys, but it's fun. But hurricanes
They
kills you.
don't always. There are times
It
when
only
they spin
kills
the other
something
way.
if you assume that it's
No,
the
they
same
don't.
as your model.
No, they're not.
No, they don't. No, they don't. That's a lie. Not a lie. I don't think you're lying. I'm sorry. That's wrong of me. Sorry, Paige.
It was a wrong assertion.
Can I ask you, Tony, if you looked at that little GIF for Coriolis where it shows the roundabout with the ball and it's got a line showing you what you see if you're not on the roundabout, and then it shows you what you would see if you are on the roundabout. One's a curved line, one's a straight line, obviously. Now, can you tell me that if that line's a ball or something and you throw that ball above the roundabout, what would ever make that ball spin in a certain direction?
Well, the ball
Like
just
it's in a second reference frame, so it's not touching.
Sorry.
The ball travels in a straight line.
Hang on, Brent,
It's
I
a
wasn't
straight
talking
line.
to you, Tony.
It's always a straight line, though. That's the same answer.
Yeah, arguing
Same
that.
answer.
What I'm saying is if you turn that ball into a hurricane, okay, so instead of it being a line, we're just going to throw it up in the air spinning. What is that roundabout doing to that ball to affect it?
Well, it depends on if the roundabout is spinning really fast. If the roundabout is spinning and nothing, and the space above it isn't spinning, it's Coriolis. That's just the way it is. Like on let's say the roundabout is the sphere.
How is the roundabout touching, physically affecting
why are you
that
relating
ball?
the Earth to a roundabout though? Like that's like totally deflecting.
Something
the reality.
spinning, Tony. Something spinning and causing.
There's
the
a
thing-
picture. There's a picture page. Look at the picture in general.
Look at the picture. Look at the picture postage. Now, this is the kind of deflections that Coriolis causes. Now, when you have wind in every direction, when it's not just one ball being thrown, well, the wind coming from the other direction will also be
I
deflected,
understand.
and it will all be
Yes.
starting to turn into a hurricane. That is why
But
you can't
you're
talk about a ball,
trying
because
to
that's only
say-
from one direction.
You're trying to say that hurricane is going in a straight line, but because the Earth's spinning, it somehow spins the hurricane.
No, this is what it is.
That's not true. Storms form from the hot and cold air pressures
Yes,
around
but
these.
there's a lot.
Ask any meteorologist. It's got
Yes, I
nothing
know.
to do.
Paige,
And there are hurricanes that spin the opposite way to what you're saying.
Yes,
in a
the
different
north. It
hemisphere.
doesn't happen very
Wait a
often,
second.
but it does happen.
okay. Can I say something? If you were to put a moving disc on the ground and put a ball on the moving disc, the ball is the hurricane. Okay. Now, if you have the ball in the air, it's not moving. When you drop it, it's not moving. As soon as it touches the disc that's spinning, it starts moving. Why is it moving?
If it's touching the
sphere.
disc, it's not Coriolis, it's something else.
It's touching it. No, it's not. Coriolis comes from the Earth.
Coriolis can
From the
only be
rotation.
observed from something that is not attached.
Yes, but
So
if
if
you're
you're saying
attached
the
to it,
hurricane is attached, then it's not Coriolis.
of course it's attached to us. It's Earth. Atmosphere is
Then
Earth.
it's not
Atmosphere is
Coriolis.
Earth. There's a gradient. There's a gradient. There's like
Tony,
like
are you
fine molecules. Wait a
listening?
second. Can I say something, please? There's space, there's hardly any fucking molecules or particles up there, and it gets denser as you go down. That's the way it is. It goes denser, and it goes denser as you go into the Earth.
What does that have to do with what I said?
Once you hit the surface of the Earth, it gets denser as you go down. Now, if you had like to where it just was like all of a sudden dense, but then not dense, and then dense again.
You cut out.
Did I just lose him?
No,
Is
Tony,
it
you
him
cut
that's
out.
gone?
Right. So the mismatch here, I hear a difference between people saying the direction the hurricane travels versus the direction of the winds of the hurricane spinning.
Right. The hurricane can move in whatever fucking direction. It's the rotation of the hurricane.
Why is there wind? Sorry about that.
If their winds are moving to the left, then the hurricane isn't going to spin to the right.
The winds are moving in a straight line. They get deflected due to the Coriolis. The winds move in a straight line. They are deflected due to the Coriolis force.
That's a fact. That's fact.
No. Oh my
Yes, it
God.
is.
No.
That's the science. You're not disagreeing with me. You're disagreeing with science.
There seems to be
Video
confusion.
then, Brenda. You didn't watch the video then, Brenda, no? You didn't watch
There
that
seems to
video.
be confusion between...
Hurricanes are now straight
Hold on.
wind, people.
No, there
A
seems to be
hurricane?
confusion. There seems to be confusion when it comes to rotation. When it comes to the rotation of this storm, and its movement, that there seems to be confusion between those two things. This is only speaking on the rotational movement of the storm itself.
The hurricane is getting heat from the earth or from the water, and it's rising straight up. There's no direction is straight up. Okay,
Yes, and the winds come.
Whoa! What's making it deviate from straight up?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Brendan. What's making it deviate from straight up? There's something has to make it deviate. How is it just? It's going straight up, all of a sudden it starts rotating. You guys don't understand that. Like a hurricane is just from the water, the heat.
High and low pressure, hot and cold. That's what starts the
how does
spin.
hot and cold mix and then rotate? You have to have something to make it rotate.
Oh my God! Go
Tony.
and look at what a meteorologist says about hurricanes.
I already know that.
Well,
what
not only
they say,
that,
because
but so are you saying dust devils, tornadoes, funnels, all of these smaller
those things can't rotate on their
rotations
own.
are
They're
also
straight lines.
caused by Coriolis?
They got to be pretty big.
Oh yeah, they have to be
No,
pretty
they
big.
don't.
So
There's
you can,
dust devils
yes,
all
they
the
do.
time, and they
No, I
swirl
see
just
what
like
you
you're
mean. I see what
saying
you
that the
mean.
hurricane needs.
Dust devils.
Brandon,
Dust
right,
devils
right.
rotation. The
Huh?
rotation of dust devils is not affected by Coriolis because they're too
No, it's not.
small to have a noticeable effect.
Ah.
Dust devils.
Well,
when
I
you
just
go
heard
in
the
any
argument
direction-
that
saying.
hurricanes
Brenda just said
rotate
hurricanes
because of
spin
Coriolis,
because
and otherwise the
of
wind would
Coriolis,
go
yes.
straight.
It goes
And we've just
straight.
given you an
You're right,
example of the
right.
same phenomena on a smaller scale that it doesn't have anything to do with
You're
Coriolis.
right. That's right. That's right. I'm going to say that's right because it should be the same thing, but it's the way that we're saying because I'm right. But you're right also. So that sucks. I hate being wrong.
The electric universe guys say that effect that you see of things rotating like that is caused by current moving. That hurricanes, dust devils, tornadoes, that's all an effect of electrical current from the sun.
We should be able to measure that though, right? I understand the
would
claim
you
and I
measure
understand
that,
the
Bobby?
I understand the
Although
science
they have,
behind it.
they,
But
they have a high correlation between increases in the solar wind and the formation of hurricanes. There's a high correlation with it.
it's a high correlation, or is it a measurement, or is it something repeated, or is
But
it something
even-
I see this forming? I should be able to make this prediction
But
that there's
even
a solar
then-
flare or activity going on. Is there anything like that, or
But
is it
even if
just
that's
a plausible
true-
explanation?
But the problem here is that even if that's true, this is only talking about why a hurricane begins to form, not why it's spinning in a specific direction at different places.
Yeah.
Which
No,
is
because
the main
currents
we're
flow
talking
currents flow in this circular counterclockwise direction. They're called Birkeland currents.
Well,
You
Berkeley
see
currents
them-
are
you
to
see
do with
them
electricity,
all-
don't they?
They're 100% about electricity. Go look it up. Birkeland currents.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Now,
Cause
Berkeley
the
currents are
northern
electricity.
lights.
But it seems like as soon as it hits Earth, it would cancel itself out because it would be like static, and then you touch something and it would dissipate. So I don't know if like Berkeley currents work all the way to the Earth. I can see above us, but I don't know though. I don't know. This is what I'm thinking.
So my only point was that hurricanes refute the flat Earth because of the presence of the Coriolis force, which could only happen on a spinning Earth. You would not have a Coriolis on a flat Earth. You would not have hurricanes spinning any direction on a flat Earth.
You would just have
Rubbish.
hurricanes
Well,
caused by
only if you
something else.
assume that, only if you
Okay,
assume that
silica.
rotation is the effect of Coriolis.
Well, that's the only one we have right now. Do you have another one that we could explore and test and experiment with? Or
I
Jupiter.
just told you.
Yeah, Jupiter. Done.
Oh wait, Jupiter's not real. You can't use Jupiter. You guys don't think Jupiter's real? Do not.
Here,
sure.
What do you
I've
got?
got another
Jupiter
one
away.
from the NOAA, which says that Earth's
At least as
orbit
far as I
around the
know.
sun and its rotation on tilted
Maybe not.
axes, we'll ignore that for a minute, causes parts of the Earth to receive more solar radiation than others. This uneven heating produces global circulation patterns. So it sounds like where the sun is drives the circulation patterns of heat.
what circulation patterns? Is
Like
it
a big
circulation pattern
pattern.
of an individual
Wait a
hurricane,
second, can you-
or
wait
is
a
it
second, can you
circulation
say that
patterns of
Man, my roommate just
wind
said some
currents?
genius shit. My roommate just said some genius shit. He won't say it again. Say it again, man, please. Come on, man. He's like, oh fuck, I cannot say it the way you said it though. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna write it down. He
These
says some
global wind
genius shit. Oh my
patterns
god.
drive large bodies of air called air masses. The location over which an air mass forms will determine its characteristics. So the macro of where the sun is drives the micro patterns.
Right, of wind patterns. We're not talking about wind patterns. We're talking about the rotation of hurricanes, individual
aren't
hurricanes.
wind patterns?
But
No,
the
look,
hurricane
again,
is
we can get pedantic. We can get pedantic.
No,
that
it's
hurricanes
not
cause wind.
pedantic. This
I
is not a
understand that.
pattern biodual. This is not a wind
Listen,
pattern that we're looking at here.
I'm gonna say what I have to say. Yes, hurricanes cause wind. In a hurricane, there is wind, but that we're not
Hurricanes are
talking
wind.
about wind, Brandon. We're talking about the rotation of a storm. That's all.
And we've already
Those are two
determined
totally
that there
separate
are
things.
the same phenomena on smaller scale that we have agreed are not caused by Coriolis or the Earth spinning, even in your model. So why
Correct,
would it
because
be
they're
any
too
big
small. They could
difference
rotate
on
in
the
different
bigger
directions.
scale? Why
Right,
couldn't
they
the same
rotate in different directions.
phenomena that causes the smaller examples of this same phenomena cause the bigger examples of the same phenomena?
I will explain it right now, because tornadoes, most tornadoes are too small to be influenced in this way, which is why most tornadoes, or all tornadoes, can spin in either direction. There's no direct influence that dictates which direction it's going to rotate. But when it comes to hurricanes, because they are so large and their systems are so large, they are affected by Coriolis. So they are dictated 100% of the time, the rotational direction that they have in relation to the equator. 100% of the time.
No, there's the storm Vimo, the one I linked last time we talked about that. That crossed the equator. So another 100% of the time.
How do you spell it? Because I haven't looked into that, but I'm
Yeah,
not going
I'll-
to speak to
I'll
it if
find
I
it
don't
again.
know it.
This thing, I'll look it up.
Vimo?
Find it again.
Yeah, I posted it last time. I said two things completely destroy the globe. Jupiter, if you believe their story, you can follow their story to its full logical conclusion. The storm on Jupiter.
Jupiter doesn't refute
Right.
the Earth.
Good
And then
point.
there's the other storm, which I'll let me get it again. I didn't save it. I should have.
Somehow
It's
this
a
same
simple Google
effect
search.
wouldn't take place on Jupiter,
Yeah,
even
I'm trying
though
to
it also is said to have an axis of rotation and all the
Same as Earth.
characteristics.
It's bigger. Yeah, it's bigger. It's faster. Everything. By their model, Coriolis should be more pronounced, but you get the exact opposite.
Coriolis is what causes the swirling patterns that you see on Jupiter.
It spins the wrong
Okay.
direction. Here,
So
let me
if
find
we've
the
got the
storm here on
sun
Earth.
making this
it's a high
circuit and it's
pressure
going
sun,
from
low
east
It's the wrong
east to west,
direction.
it's
You
going
didn't. Oh
the
my God.
sun's moving from east to west, then it's going to create this directionality to that energy, right? As it moves around.
No.
Yeah,
Here
it
it is.
will.
It's coming right now.
It will.
We've already explained why the sun isn't involved in that way and directly dictating it, because the zenith of the sun changes from tropic to tropic. This effect that we have with the hurricanes exists at a fine line of the
Only
equator.
talking about the directionality of it.
Yeah, hear
going
this right
way.
here. A typhoon Vimy. NASA explained it because it was due to topography and meteorology. Had nothing to do with Earth rotation. They tried to explain it away, but you can't.
Oh, so you got one. Okay, great, excellent.
I need
Hold on,
one.
I'm gonna try to find the a video
Just
of
like the Black Swan, we
cross-section.
only need one.
And I got two. If I follow your model and apply it to elsewhere in your so-called universe, your so-called solar
But-
system, just look at Jupiter. It debunks it there too.
But, no, it doesn't. But you don't understand the model.
The red spot is a high.
Oh, I don't.
Center.
Right, you don't.
Okay, so why is Jupiter spinning the wrong way if I don't understand the model? It spins clockwise, correct?
It's a high pressure.
Oh, just change the pressure system. So now it has nothing to
It's
do
not
with
hard
rotation.
to understand clockwise and anti-clockwise.
You
Brenda.
understand that
I don't,
That's
like,
not hard
really.
to understand.
rotate backwards from a low pressure center.
Yeah, so now if globe, I also don't understand clockwise and counterclockwise, so claims Brenda. See how quickly your model falls
No,
apart?
all of these
Doesn't
things
fall
are
apart.
all of these things are going to react to all the forces and influences imparted onto it. All of them. They're all going to do that. What we're saying is that on Earth, the Coriolis effects dictates the rotation of them. That's all that's being said. There
that's
are
what
other
you're
forces,
saying.
there are other things affecting it, but that what dictates the rotation will be the Coriolis in relation to the equator.
Yep, Typhoon
That's what your claim
Vime.
is. It's just a claim, though.
A simple Google search will destroy your worldview.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at radar. I'm looking at radar of this hurricane.
Hang on.
What does
Brenda's saying that the Coriolis causes the hurricane's spin. Not only
Right.
just
Page
where
is
the
talking.
hurricane moves after it's spinning, like which direction it's going as it's spinning. She's saying the Coriolis causes it to spin.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Oh my
and
God.
a particular direction of that rotation.
NASA disagrees with you, Brenda.
See, I
No,
can
they don't.
understand you saying that the Earth turn would push the hurricane in a certain direction. I can kind of understand why
Yeah, we're
you
not
would,
saying that at all.
think of that. But you're saying that the spin starts the hurricane spinning, and that's just
If-
nonsense.
If you give me a second, I can explain it to you. What happens is that you have a region of the ocean that gets heated up by the sun. That hot air rises straight up. The cold air comes straight in. The cold air is replacing the hot air, and since it's
And
traveling
causes it
straight,
to spin.
the Coriolis, the spin of the Earth, the Coriolis
Why are you adding
causes.
something else?
Just let me finish. The Coriolis force or effect causes those straight line winds to curve, thus creating a hurricane.
No, the
Clockwise-
cold air
clockwise
comes
in the north,
and moves
counter-
the hot air and causes the spin.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
Hurricanes
so
are
that makes
actually
sense
spinning.
too, because you've got the hot air in the middle, right? You've got cold air coming from the middle. You've got cold air coming from the outside. It spins in the direction of the cold air.
It on a flat
Whichever
Earth.
way it hits it first. Like if it hits it more to the
Yeah,
left.
whichever
it'll
way
spin
the
that
cold
way.
it's
If
closest
spins
to the
that way,
cold
it'll spin
air, it
that way.
spins towards it.
Then it would.
Yeah.
If that was true, then the spins would be random.
She's just
but they're
adding
not.
something.
Why
No,
would it be
so
random?
If it was
It's not
just
random
due
at
to
all.
No,
local-
because even electricity has the right-hand rule. Everything in this place is, has a direction, like up and down and everything. Like even electricity has a direction. So it makes sense that things would be, the same everywhere.
Coriolis says
Electricity
it
If
doesn't
they're
have
the same in the north, it's the same in the south.
Electricity doesn't have a direction. It just wants
Why
contact.
is it different in the north
The
versus
right-hand
the south?
rule I'm talking about. It is. It can never go left.
But
You
the
always
right-hand rule. Okay, let's say the right-hand rule is true for whatever reason.
Let's
Why is
say
it
it's
different
true.
in the north versus the south?
Well, Gummy Bear, have you ever dragged a paddle through water?
Yeah, you get two.
Are you
different...
trying to claim that the sun is that paddle?
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
a
Yeah,
paddle.
I just
The
posted a very,
sun-
very simple.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just posted a very, very
Now-
simple drawing that someone had made. So as the
Yes.
sun moves, it's in
Oh,
my opinion,
brilliant.
it's going to create
Leo.
these movements. So
We've already
something is
addressed this,
definitely
like,
moving
4
within the
times.
system. The globe earthers are going to claim it's the
Yeah.
globe, the
Oh,
Earth spinning,
Yeah.
but on a stationary level Earth, it's the sun moving, and
We've
the sun
addressed this 4
we-
times.
is going to
Leo.
create
addressed
these
this
Yeah,
universes.
so
before.
our
I
cause
guess
will be
no
the
one
sun,
can
their
speak without
cause
being
will be the
interrupted. Is that the
brand.
deal? Is that the deal?
Because
here
we
today?
already addressed this whole thing
Well, it
before.
is
All right,
Friday
but
night
if
fight.
you let someone speak for 20
argument-
seconds, somebody can
It's
respond, and it
Friday
can be a
night fights.
comprehensive conversation.
It's Friday night fight. So
Why
rules are off.
reiterate what we
Well, we're
already
still not
what we
talking over each other.
already we already
Okay.
talked about before? Why
Well, then
would you
you better
introduce
not
it
complain,
again?
Brenda.
Looks
Yeah,
like
well-
a paddle.
We already explained that any
No,
kind
no,
of
no.
explanation requiring the sun is a problem because the sun changes where it passes over from different parts of the year, and yet the position of the equator and the directionality of the winds and hurricanes do not change location depending on the time of the year.
Okay.
Because
So
that's
why
I'd
can
like
the
to, I'd like to
sun
respond
change
to that.
location?
I'd like to respond to that.
Yeah.
Why are there quote unquote hurricane seasons? So of course they do change at different times of the year.
No, all
With
right, hold
different
on, hold on.
positions
Before
of
I
the
get
sun.
too much in the weeds, before it gets too
No,
into
that's
the
not
weeds.
in the
not
weeds at
weeds.
all. That's not in the
No,
weeds
I
at
know,
all.
I'm
Let's
gonna
get an
explain.
answer
I'm
to
not
that. That's
saying
not
I'm
in
not
the
saying
weeds.
don't talk. I'm not saying don't talk. I'm saying before we get too much in the weeds, let me explain why I'm saying that. So yes, there are hurricane seasons. The Coriolis effect isn't affecting the seasons. The Coriolis effect isn't creating hurricanes. It may have an influence, so it might be too much for me to say that. But what's being discussed is just the rotational direction of hurricanes in relation to the equator. Not the creation, not
Thank you,
the
Bio. So it's
direction
not
that they move.
creating them. Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
which
right.
is what
It's
Brenda's
only the
saying.
rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun is sweeping across the earth, and as it sweeps, it creates those patterns in the north and south as it's moving, just like a paddle through water.
Okay, so now what I'll say is the zenith of the sun moves between the tropics. So what we would expect to see, if the sun were dictating this rotational direction, what we would see is that when it's at the tropic of Cancer, we would see these rotational hurricanes moving past the equator. We would see them. We would see them move with the sun in that
No, we
manner.
wouldn't.
What we
No, we wouldn't.
don't see that occur. What we see is that the equator is dictating it, totally separate from the sun.
We wouldn't expect to see that. No, because
Well, you're
they
going to see
form
less
near the
hurricanes.
boundary of where the heat meets the cold from the Arctic.
I'm only addressing Geo. With what Geo presented
Oh.
with the picture in the chat, I'm only addressing that. I understand, Brandon, you have another explanation, talking about different pressure
No,
systems,
it's a
different temperatures,
combined
I'm
explanation.
only addressing Geo's assertion of the sun dictating it. And I brought forth something with common knowledge that the sun moves between the tropics, but this effect is only happening in respect to the equator.
You have to put these together. There's more than one thing happening. What I'm saying is Geo has the sun moving through. There's this energy that has directionality to it, moving around the earth. It's pushing things in one direction, per se, okay, quote unquote. At the same time, these hurricanes form where the cold air meets the warm air. So they're going to meet at that same boundary, which moves on a macro scale, not very far, as the sun stays within a band around the equator. It's not going to form in the
Right,
middle.
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's a
No.
channel. I see it as like a band or a channel. So I'm going to post this image. Oh shoot, it didn't post right.
Well, you can say no, Biodual, but does that at least not make sense?
No, I understand your explanation. I get that. But what we observe in reality is not that. You're partially correct that they form because of these pressure systems. That's totally fine. I have no problem with that. What the subject matter is, what dictates or the strongest influence of particular rotations in respect to locations on the Earth. So if you want to talk about the formations, totally fine with that. It's totally separate from what we're talking about with the particular rotational directions.
No, it's not.
Well,
It's
there
all
it is.
connected.
It's totally different. Forming something and the way something spins is different. We're not talking about whether a hurricane forms or not in a particular location.
The way it
we're talking
spins
about the
is what
rotational
determines
direction.
the form
What's
or
wrong
the
with the
other way
rotational
around.
direction? That's what the directionality is meant to address. The energy has
Yeah, I mean,
directionality.
if the-
It's all moving through this band here in the center. It's just like Geo's picture. It's kind of, pushing that energy, waking outwards towards the cold air, and it's curling in the same direction away from it on either side.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I accept your explanation. Let me do some research and see if I can find where pressure systems were opposite, where you have one cold air front coming in from the north and warm air from the south. Let me see if I can find a hurricane formation in which the cold air started from the south and was in the north, yet the rotation was the same. Would you accept that kind of premise?
If you find an exception, we
You
can
have
look
to
at
show
it.
the Earth's rotating.
I just
You want
posted
to show
this
us
one too.
something
Just
else and say the Earth's causing that.
So are you saying that the sun is moving through the atmosphere?
Yeah, just like we see it every day.
Can't
Yep.
talk yourself out of this.
So the sun is moving through the atmosphere. How does that work?
Just
It
like
works
you see it.
perfectly. Really nice.
No, but
It's-
how? That's not.
About
I'm
15 degrees
asking.
an hour?
I'm asking for the mechanism. How does it move?
Yeah, you just watch it. Natural law.
Yeah, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the mechanism.
How does it move in yours?
It doesn't matter how it moves.
How does it move in?
It moves.
Well, I just would like to know.
You don't have to know how a bird moves to
You
watch
won't
it
know.
move. It moves
I would
either
just
way.
like to know how it moves.
Yeah, that
You
would be
can't
nice.
tell me.
No,
You tell me.
that would be nice. No,
No, you could
we
tell
have
me.
no
Tell me.
check whether
What
it
is
moves or how.
Tell me, I can't
posted
bear
a
not
link
knowing.
to a NASA article about how do hurricanes form, and you'll notice they don't mention the word Coriolis at all.
Not once.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
not
nice.
talking about Coriolis and forming hurricanes. We're talking about Coriolis and the effect it has on its rotational direction. This is why I keep repeating it, that there's a disconnect between what you think the argument is and what the argument actually is. This is it right here.
prove to you the Earth
Yeah,
is
that's
not
why I
spinning.
tried to go through it with you before, because I think you and Brenda are actually saying different things, even though it sounds the same.
No, I'm saying the same thing he is.
No, you're saying, no, you're not. You're
Yes, I
saying
am.
the
Yes, I
choreo.
am.
No.
Yes, I am.
I have
No,
proof
but I'm
that the
saying.
Earth is not spinning, if anybody's interested.
They have essentially the same diagram as you have without the sun, Gio. Whoever made that.
Brandon, I have proof the Earth is not spinning if you're interested.
Oh, yes, of course I'm interested. Yes, please.
Okay, modus tollens, modus potens. If the Earth is spinning, a pendulum will not hang plumb. A pendulum hangs plumb, therefore the Earth is not spinning.
Yeah,
Your
that would be.
presupposition is
That's a,
already false.
You have a false
that's
premise.
that's a valid.
You have
That's
false
a
premise.
that's a valid that's a valid argument. So congratulations for
You
constructing
guys are
a
the
valid
kings of
argument.
false premises, by the way.
Yeah. The first premise is false.
No,
Please
you guys
explain
are
how,
kings of the
Brenda.
false premise when you
Well,
start
it
every
is.
sentence off with "on a flat Earth." That's a false.
You have to have
premise.
everything else that would relate to that answer down and no, and you can't just say if a plumb line lies straight 90 degrees to the Earth, then therefore the Earth isn't spinning. You can't, because there's so many factors in between that you have not thought of.
Like
Just saying
what?
We
that.
can think
Like what?
simplistically with the hurricanes and what would happen on a flat Earth, but we can't think simplistically about the way a plumb bog hangs. Is that right?
But how
Does
how
the
does
stars
rotation
and
happen?
sun
How does
move
rotation happen?
because
How does
Earth
rotation
moves?
How
Do
does
we
Please
see
tell
the
me there's
sun
only
move
one
because of
rotation
Earth's
on Earth.
rotation?
How
Yeah,
does
I want to hear
rotation
that.
happen, guys?
Have you
Say,
ever
whoa,
seen
whoa,
those
whoa,
things
whoa,
on
whoa,
top
whoa.
of a barn that spin whenever the wind blows?
Yes. That's
Yeah,
happening.
rotation
Wind
happens without there needing to be the
We
effect that
can-
you're talking about.
It
The
corrects
wind just
itself,
makes
though.
things spin.
We
That's
still
corrects
see the
itself,
sun
though.
move when we're not on the Earth.
Anamorphic Mind, shout out $5. Thank you very much. Poor Crit, always a 66-year-old bridesmaid, never a 66-year-old bride. I'll make sure that he gets that message. Thank you, Anamorphic Mind.
In that you've completely dissected yourself, or you're not thinking about the other half of life.
In both reference frames, I can see the sun move. So the Earth
Yes, but-
turning and me standing on a turning Earth is not what is causing me to
But yeah,
see
but
the sun
both
move.
effects-
Because
but
when I
both effects-
leave that
okay, I got you.
turning reference frame, I still see it moving.
But both effects affect someone that would be like sitting there witnessing it differently. If the sun was spinning, hey man, I
Can
didn't
you
know.
show us a rotating platform with a pendulum plumb on it, please?
Can you show me a rotating platform where there's the equator halfway in between the center and the end that rotates and then everything spins differently on each side? Can you do that? Can you do that?
Hold on, SE, I could do that. SE, I could do that.
At the equator, you
Sure,
can
please.
show that.
No, what I'm saying is I could perform that experiment. All I would have to do is put my my chamber with the torsion bar on a spinning like Lazy Susan, and I would just spin it, and then I'll show a plumb.
That's true. That's true.
You're gonna say one spin a day as conforming to the Earth, correct? Is that what you're going at?
Oh no, I'll even up the force, the proposed force involved.
Wait, so you guys can say that
a sky above it and tape what it looks
doesn't
like.
affect you. Okay.
One final statement. To just kill your whole fantasy in one
Man,
statement.
stop saying fantasy, but
It's a fantasy. Okay, listen up. At your equator, the Earth is spinning, right?
Yes.
At the equator, how high is the water drawn from the spin, please?
How 1 centimeter off the Earth is where it started from. 1 millimeter, one tiny little fraction. Do you think it all of a sudden just appears in the sky? It gradually traveled up in the air.
Obviously, you do not know your model. Let me inform you.
God, Dancy, you know when we talk, sometimes I want to.
Don't interrupt me. Are you scared? Are you scared?
No, I'm not scared. You're a fucking idiot.
Okay, so be quiet and let me talk. Shut up. At the
okay, everyone, listen. We're gonna have some dumbass fucking tell us what's going on.
Well, Tony, just let him speak.
Clown.
Yeah, let him speak so we can hear, and then you can speak next. I mean, it
That's
is Friday
what I'm
Night Fights, but it's good to hear what everyone's saying, so it can be.
I got you. You're right. You're an idiot, though.
He's afraid. He's afraid. He's a fucking idiot. That's all he has.
My dick is like inside. My nuts are inside my.
So now, shut your fucking mouth and listen.
Shut
the equator,
Tony. There he is. That's what I was looking for. It's a real SE.
Somebody mute Tony, stupid ass, please.
Yeah,
somebody mute this guy, really. He knows what's coming. He knows devastation that's coming.
Exactly.
I'll shut up right now. I'll shut up. I won't say anything else until you're done. All right, sorry.
You can't handle logic, SC.
Shut the fuck up.
All right, let's just move on. Go ahead, say your thing, SE. Let's go.
They're not letting me. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it, bro. At the equator, your fantasy spinning ball model says that the water lifts 27 miles. 27 miles. So that's a force, centrifugal force lifting the ocean. That's your fantasy. I didn't make it up. And you're going to tell me that a pendulum can hang plumb?
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Game over.
Hold on. What is that claim in relation to? No, of course it is. Of course it is. But we can explore it. Wait, with that 27 miles, what is that in relation to?
To your spinning fantasy globe.
No. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hold on. If it's a 27-mile deviation, what is that in relation to? 27 miles deviation from what?
You're defending shit.
It's from your water.
Oh, I'm not defending anything. I'm asking SC questions. I'm not defending anything.
For real. SC's trying to keep you your own model, and you don't.
I'm not defending anything. I'm asking.
Oh, that's not my model.
If SC is making that claim that it's ridiculous, I'm asking more about this claim. SC, the 27-mile deviation is in reference to what?
For the 5th time, maybe you're hard of hearing, dude. Get a Q-tip, get the wax out of your ears.
You got this, SC. You're doing great.
Due to the spinning sphere fantasy, the water bulges 27 miles at the equator.
In reference to what?
Fantasy.
In reference to what? 27 miles
to the rest of the sphere.
To the rest of it. So it's just an arbitrary.
Yeah, it bulges
how wide is it? How wide is
it? Force.
We have a 27-mile height. How wide is it?
It's in reference to your potato.
27 miles at the equator.
Okay, in reference to what? What does 27 miles mean? Is it above sea level? Is it above the earth? What is the 27 miles in reference to, Essie? Or are you just providing a number arbitrarily?
Are you hard of hearing?
No.
You have a ball of water.
There is a reference, right? There's a reference to say 27-mile deviation.
You have a ball of water.
If you can't list a deviation, why are you presenting the information?
I'm not talking about deviation. Listen and learn.
You're talking about 27 miles. Is that not a deviation?
Your sphere.
You're doing great, Essie. I appreciate this.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great double speaking. I'm sure everybody here understands what I said. You get a tennis ball, you spin it, it bulges at the center. Who doesn't understand this? Hands up, please.
Brian Leakey, your camera's on, just FYI. You may or may not want it on.
Tell me who cannot understand this. You have a spinning ball of water, a basketball, and the water bulges at the center. Hands up who does not understand this.
Essie, here we go. You ready for this? A mountain is 1,000 feet tall. What is that in reference to? Oh, 1,000 feet above sea level. There you go. That's how you answer a question like that. So when you bring up this 27-mile bulge, what is that in reference to?
The 5th time, the WGS
I told you 100 times.
Earth.
To the rest of the water on Earth.
So are you saying that it's 27 miles above sea level?
At the equator.
Are you saying 27 miles above sea level?
Why do you talk over me, asshole?
You can never answer a question because you think you have something, but you have no fucking idea what you're presenting.
I know I have something, asshole.
WGS 84 potato Earth.
That's great. You have a source. That's great. You have a number. What is it in reference to? Do you understand what that
It's
means?
devastation for you. Do you understand?
Do you
Your
understand when
fantasy
you present
is
this information, you don't know how to
over.
articulate it, that you don't understand what the information is being presented?
No, you're just double speaking, triple speaking, and it ain't gonna work here because everybody understands what I
double
just
spoken?
said.
I've asked you questions this whole time.
Listen up. It doesn't matter where you're going and what it's in reference to. If there's a
Oh,
force,
so it doesn't matter.
let me finish.
Bro, you're in denial of
If
your own
there's a
topological
force,
privilege.
why is everybody fucking speaking when I speak, man? Why?
Because you provide nothing, SC, to be honest.
When the Earth is
Sorry,
spinning
SC,
and there's a force
man.
of
Sorry,
27 miles, there they go again. There they go
No,
again.
that was leaky. That was leaky, SC.
It doesn't matter what it's in reference to. If you have a centrifugal force that is able to lift 27 miles of water, then surely it can lift a plumb bomb. Yes or no?
No, you have a false premise. You have a false explanation of
No, you're
what's actually
delusion,
happening.
bro.
And I'm trying to
You are one of the
investigate.
dumbest
I'm trying to
people here.
investigate what you mean by 27 miles. Is it
Everybody here
27
knows.
miles above sea
Well,
level?
see, to be
Is
fair,
it
how
a
about let's let
27
him
mile
respond?
bulge, or is it talking about 27 miles of extra circumference around the equator? What is it talking about?
As reference to the rest of the globe, there's a 27-mile bulge. That's what they say. Go investigate it if you want.
And I'm
any
asking you,
further
what do you
detail.
think that means? Do you think that means there's a 27 mile above sea level area of water at the equator? Do you think that that's what the claim is?
That's what they say. Yeah.
Question.
Right. So,
That's what
so
your
your
problem says,
interpretation is that the globe model and the explanation is that at the equator there is 27 miles of water, which means fucking nothing because it would be a volume. 27 miles of water above sea level. Is that what you think
It
the
means your Earth
interpretation
is
is?
shaped like a potato, clown. Okay?
There
It means
is a force that can cause the water to bulge 20 at the equator. Correct.
You don't
And
even
that
understand.
force
You don't even
should be able-
understand that statistic. You don't.
No, you don't
Show
Hold
understand.
up. What is it supposed to mean? What is the 27 miles?
No, I
supposed to
can
be?
tell
Is
you.
that
I can tell you.
The difference in this.
It just-
are,
It just means that somebody standing at the North and South Pole is 27 miles closer to the center of the Earth than somebody standing at the equator.
No,
And that
technically
is
not.
due
It's a
to
circumference.
rotation, right,
It has to do with the
Brenda?
circumference. It's a circumference. When you
Yeah,
measure,
yeah,
if
yeah.
you measure the
Squirm
circumference
for
of a
me,
sphere
squirm for
from
me.
top to bottom and around, that's going to be a particular value. When you measure the circumference around the equator, that value is going to be 27 miles more than the north to south circumference.
That is false. It is 20. It's 20 miles in elevation. I don't know about the 27, but according to your WGS 84, it is 20 miles further away from the center of the Earth at the equator,
Yeah,
bro.
I had it wrong. Yeah, I had it wrong. It's 21
Yeah, but he
kilometers.
can jump right
It's
in. He
21
can jump
kilometers.
right in with you.
Excuse me.
No, hold on. He can
Excuse
jump
me.
right in with
Excuse me.
you.
I was
Hold on,
talking.
hold on, Brian.
Excuse me. I had it wrong. It's 21 kilometers, not 27 miles. It's 21 kilometers closer.
Yeah, from the closer part of it. Yeah, but when we talk about the equatorial bulge that SE brought up, which he has no fucking idea what he's talking about, I just provided the source and the explanation.
Shut up,
It is
you
about
fucking idiot.
43
I just
kilometers
posted a
or
thing.
27 miles wider at the equator than pole to pole. That's all it is.
I just posted a thing. Read it and weep. Brendan, check it out, bro.
Brian, do that thing with your mic, will you?
All right.
Oh, Brenda might be right.
Do you think it might be? It's the entire volume of the Earth. It's not just the ocean.
I love to hear you
It's the-
squirm.
It's the
There's
entire
the
volume
post.
of the Earth.
There's
Hey,
the
Brian, do
quote.
the thing you do with your mic where you turn it off, please.
I'm muted, man. Hold on.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, Brenda was right. I had a different interpretation.
Yeah,
Right.
you're always wrong. Your
It says
spin ball just died today. Mark the date and mark the guy that killed it.
You didn't show anything, SE.
Yeah,
You didn't show
yeah,
anything.
SE, you're providing our explanation. Remember when I asked you about
Earth is life? What's your name in there?
So you're agreeing that there's a force that is able to do this, right?
Yeah, of course. Over a long period of time, there will be an influence that will create this.
No,
Yeah,
that
of course.
plumb bob.
Right. You want
just
to know the
know,
amount of
dude.
SE, you want to know the amount of force? Do you want to know the
And
amount
I'm
of
glad
force
it was
that's being
you,
imparted
pal.
by this?
I'm glad
Because
it was
we
you
can
that did
quantify
it.
it. SE,
You
we
and
can
Brenda
quantify this
couldn't
force.
find better people.
SE, do you know how to quantify this force? Because
Hey, shout out Ali B. Danish Crohn's 100. Shout out SE Montreal. Oh shit. I'll shout him out. I'll read your anamorphic's mind in the chat.
The Earth is not spinning. Do you
what you
understand?
sent, SE, what you sent to everyone to look at, tell me what sense in there should make me want to change my mind about globe Earth. What sentence in there does that? Can you do that,
I didn't
please?
say anything about globe or
You
flat.
gave
I
us
said
a fucking
spinning.
example of what you
Define a
think.
hole.
You gave us an example of what you feel. So what sentence in there turned you to be like, oh my God, that's right. Tell me, please.
Sure.
I want to know.
Shut your mouth and listen.
Shut the fuck up.
Anybody, and you take a 5-year-old kid and you show him a basketball. Shut your mouth.
What fucking sentence? SE, dude, don't be a bitch. What sentence in there changed your mind, dude? It's a real question, bro. What sentence in there was like, this makes it from flat to globe? Because I don't see it. I do not see it in there.
I never said once anything about a
You
shape.
gave
I said
the
about
fucking
the
example,
spin.
SE.
I said about the spin, and you know what? I love the way you're squirming.
Gave an SE, don't be a bitch right now, dude. You gave an example saying this is why I think that it's flat. I don't see it.
Hey, Tony, remember when he said that when I asked about the 27 miles above sea level and he said yes? Oh,
Yes,
turns out that was demonstrably retarded.
The retard.
Define bulge.
In your pants. If you walk down and women look at your crotch, that means you have a bulge. There you go.
It'll just be like a deviation. A bulge would be like a deviation. Like you could almost call a fucking pimple a deviation on your face because it's deviation from normal or from
force that could bulge water 27 miles and they think they can't feel it. Look how
it takes time, man.
How stupid and
it's a very minimal force, and it takes a lot of time.
He is. I asked him what sentence in there made him a flat earther, or made him think that this is a flat Earth fucking sentence. He couldn't send it because he doesn't have one.
When I say anything about flat Earth, Pancho?
SE, why do you measure? Why are you trying to measure acceleration in bulge? Why are you measuring acceleration
We
in
have
the unit
1,000
of
miles
bulge?
Dude, how long did you walk outside and you see we're not moving, bro?
27-mile bulge. There's nothing you can say or change that. That's your fantasy. And I destroy it with a plumb bob.
And I destroy your whole argument by asking you.
Remember
why
the
are you measuring acceleration with bulge?
I ain't measuring shit.
That's what you're trying to do.
I'm showing you what your fantasy
in the morning and turn your computer on.
Y'all are trying to measure things by them sitting something still and spinning something in a circle. You're trying to say we're moving, bro. We're not moving. You may say we wouldn't feel it.
Dude, can you not see it, Brian? Right, do you not see how it would move, though?
Brandon, shut this dumbass up, dude, for a second. Anyway, look, as soon as we started moving, that's when we would notice if we were moving. Okay, if we were going in a
you
circle,
have to be here the day it started moving, Brian. You fucking moron. You have to be here the day it started moving and accelerating. But if we're already accelerating, slowing down, then how would we know?
If you took a
That's
train,
how stupid you are.
run it in a circle.
Circular motion,
Brian,
you always feel
a
it.
train starts and
That's how
stops.
stupid you are, Tony.
And you guys
Tony,
fucking idiots.
Hey guys, let's slow down.
Might be convenient.
We're starting to
but
get into
about
that
to
period
wait for you
where
to
we're
verify
talking
that.
all over each other.
A train
Let's just kinda
starts and
slow down.
stops. That's all I got to say. The Earth doesn't start and stop.
No, you try to
Yeah, but
compare
the claim
a train
you make
moving at a
is
certain
convenient
speed.
for
You say if you jump, you'd land in the same
generation
spot.
form that it ever started. You're
If
just
the
assuming that it
Whoa,
started
whoa,
because
whoa, 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 stop. Everyone, are you trying to say that the Earth never started spinning?
Yeah,
Hold on a minute. Wait.
That's exactly what we're saying. Idiot.
Hold on.
Yes.
That is fucking
In the
the
entire
dumbest thing I've
time
ever
you've been
heard,
living,
and I'm kind
have
of
you
sad that
ever
I'm on
seen
this
the
fucking
Earth
fight
spin?
if you're going to say that shit, dude.
Hold on, dude. If I
never
moved in the speed of the earth, you say I wouldn't feel it, right? They say I wouldn't feel it if I was
at one point. Bro, at one point,
Today
No,
is
it
the
didn't.
day that your
No, it
globe
didn't. Because we're
stops
still not spinning. It's never started because we're still not
are you
spinning.
fucking serious?
Yep.
Something's fun.
Yep.
Hey, something's spinning. Hey, okay, then that means
You're
that at one
spinning
point,
globe
wait,
today,
SE, can you shut the fuck up? SE, I'm talking first.
Shut your mouth,
Dude, you're a bumbling idiot. Somebody
your
else.
mouth, idiot.
Anybody else besides
one
this
point,
retard.
Guys,
dude, is the space?
You won't let us
is
have a
space
show,
re-
Brandon. Trust
Dude,
me.
shut the fuck
Tony
up.
will not
Is
let us
space
have a show. I
revolving around
promise.
us?
slow the
Is
fuck
space revolving
down.
around us? Is space revolving around us? That means something started spinning. It doesn't have to be the Earth. I don't give a fuck what
The
it is.
Earth
Something
is not
started spinning.
I
That's
just
fine.
proved it
Something
today.
started spinning, though.
The Earth is
Something
not spinning, Tony.
started
Shut your
spinning.
fucking mouth. Let somebody else
You're a
talk.
fucking idiot. SE, man, you're
Hey,
such a
real
fucking
quick.
idiot.
All right,
Real
guys,
quick.
we're devolving quickly, but obviously we don't think the Earth's spinning. Tony, I mean, this is
You
news
think
to you.
something's spinning, though. You think something's spinning. Something
something is moving
spinning, though,
around in
right?
a circular pattern. Yeah, there's things moving.
That's spinning.
Yeah.
That's the definition of spinning, Brandon.
Fine.
That's
If you want to
spinning.
call it spinning, that's fine.
What do you want to call it?
Well, I
It's
think of
spinning.
spinning as something like a sphere can do, where it's spinning on an axis. You know, the
Oh,
sun's
this
not
is biased
spinning;
so
it's moving
deep,
around in
I'm
a
sorry.
circle. That's
Well,
what
we
I'm
can
saying.
see that the sun is. We can see that the sun is
Yeah,
rotating.
if you run
Yeah, if
around a
it's
track,
moving,
you
that
aren't
means it's
spinning.
spinning.
You're running around a track. It's pretty simple.
I was
Well, the
referring
sun
to
obviously
its
isn't moving.
movement around the North Pole, not the actual movement of the sun.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's
Brian.
obvious that the sun is not moving. That's obvious.
It
It is.
is
It's
it
so
obvious? Because I've watched it move across the sky many times.
Yeah, but the
Right.
stars in the background would have to be moving a lot faster than the stars in the front, at the
If
foreground.
anything is obvious, it's that the sun is moving. That would be the obvious thing. Now, if you want to make an argument that it's not moving, you can do that. But the obvious
Yeah, I
thing is
can.
that it's moving.
No, it's not obvious at all. It's not
Well,
moving.
let me hold on a
because
minute. Let me
You
ask you a
see
question.
something
Then, when
moving,
you
but it's
step
not moving.
outside your front door and you look up at the sun for I don't know, say 20 minutes, does it move?
Well, I wouldn't look at the sun for 20 minutes. I'd be blind.
You see
But-
the
No, you have those
sky
sunglasses
moving,
on that
not
you're supposed
the
to wear
sun.
during a
But-
a thing.
And when I
there's a
do
big
that,
difference. One second. There's a
Hold
big
on,
difference
ask-
between saying you see the sun moving and you see the sky moving, especially the night sky. I'm not talking clouds here.
Well,
We're talking about the sun.
The sun definitely moves. There's just people on
No,
Earth that
it
claim
doesn't.
that it's not that the Earth is
No.
the thing that's moving, but in reality, the sun is moving for every
no, it's
single human. that
obvious.
observes it.
It's obvious that it is not moving because it never changes in size.
So you see a truck moving, but it's you that's moving.
Hold on.
Obviously.
Let me.
Yeah,
She
I
never
think-
answered my question, guys. I really wanted to answer my question. So when you watch the
You
sun
won't
for an
answer that,
extended
Brandon.
period of time, let's say you set up a mount and you put a telescope on it, and you want to record the sun throughout the day.
Yes.
What moves? The telescope mount and the sun, or what? In that case,
It doesn't matter.
What do you observe
what
moving?
matters is the subject that you're looking at. Does it change in size?
What do you
Hey, what
observe
if I was
moving?
From far away to close.
Guys, let her
Move,
answer the
I'd like
question.
to know.
Brenda, what do you observe moving?
I observe that the telescope mount will be on an equatorial mount, which will be moving in step with the rotation of the Earth to keep the sun in my sights of my telescope.
So the mount moves to track the sun.
Yes.
So that means
sun
that the
is
sun
not
must be
moving.
moving if it has to have something that
No,
moves to
it's-
track it,
That's their
right?
problem.
I'm
That's
on a
what we
spinning
observe.
Earth.
Now,
I'm
all
on
we're
a
talking
spinning
about
Earth.
is what we
Let's make
observe.
this so much simpler because you guys are talking past each other. Let's think of the carousel again. If you're on the carousel, how do you tell if you're the one moving, or let's say you're looking at your mother on outside the carousel? How do you tell if you're the one
I
moving
feel
or
like
your
I
mother?
Using your
Well,
senses.
If I have to
if you
throw
look
up,
at
then
your
I'm moving.
mother, if you're looking at your mother and she's moving in respect to the background, well then she's moving. But if everything's moving together, your mother and the background at the same time, you're moving. That's
Yes,
what we're seeing
exactly.
in the night sky. Everything
Who just said
seems to be
that?
moving. Just
That was great.
Gummy Bear said that. Gummy Bear said. Gummy
You
Bear.
people are
said that.
delusional.
That's
Really
perfect. That's perfect.
delusional.
The problem with that is
Super
that there's no
simple
background.
analog.
Gummy Bear, I'm gonna follow you. Okay.
Really? Do you see the polar star moving?
Yes. No. Yes. If
Oh,
we really
yes,
paid
yes,
attention to it.
No.
Yeah, we do. We have because we've documented it to have
Yes.
moved in the central
There's
point.
no background to space.
Because it wasn't the North Star like fucking 2,000 years ago.
So Gummy Bear. made
Oh,
an
and you guys were there to observe it, huh? Fuck yeah.
Were you there to observe yourself?
Exactly.
Hey, were you
Really?
there to observe yourself being born? How the fuck do you know you were born?
Because he can verify
You weren't
that
there
he's
to
there
witness
right
yourself
now.
coming out of your
He
mother.
can
I can
verify
go and
himself
slap you
right
in the
now.
fucking face.
I wasn't
That's how
born.
you're gonna know.
I can go talk to smart
I
people
wasn't
and they'll
born,
tell me,
Tony.
yeah,
My
it's-
mom's
Can all you-
vagina got off of
all
me.
you
I didn't
flat
come out of my
earthers-
mom.
Can all you flat
All
earthers
right.
understand why you're trying to deviate from what I presented to you? The analog
You're the one
carousel
deviating.
looking.
I showed you a
No.
beautiful example, and
And
you
I
just don't
gave
see it.
you I gave you a very simple, nice analogous case where you can think of it and tell me
How dare you say
what's the
beautiful?
problem in this.
How dare you say beautiful, SE? That
You're
was ugly.
delusional.
It was.
You're
It was
delusional.
beautiful.
So
You
in
admit there's
theory,
a force that can bulge water
Oh, SE,
27
buddy,
miles,
SE.
It's a simple
but you
example with a
think that it
carousel.
won't deviate a pendulum. I mean, that's sheer
Why can
delusion.
you not think about a simple example with a carousel
For real.
without
It's
getting
a
this
fine
ass
example. It's
pained
just
about it?
not
On the
analogous. That's
carousel,
the
you feel
problem.
the centrifugal force.
So you're on a carousel. Will you feel the centrifugal force on your carousel?
Not if it's
No.
one rotation for 24 hours.
If it
No.
rotates once per day, you won't even notice it.
Right, and I just showed you how you're wrong, because in your own model,
What
the
fucking
force
idiot.
is strong enough to bulge 27 miles of water.
Okay, we'll put a drop of water on that carousel and then let it spin for 1,000 years.
Oh my
one
God.
revolution per day.
Oh my
Whoa,
God.
Gummy
Oh,
Bear,
this
you're
see
fucking
water
genius.
on the
My God, that's
edge.
exactly. If I had the right words, I'd say exactly that same
Yeah,
thing. Gummy Bear's genius.
Then we see the water getting closer to the edge. Wow.
You
Another
guys hear what you're
analogous
saying.
case
When
with a
you say
carousel.
something,
If you have a website, I'm going to follow you right now.
when you say
So,
something, does it go through your brain first, or it just comes out of your
It
mouth?
usually does. I know you're not used to that, but yes, it does.
so Gummy Bear, let me
So
ask
we
you my
have a
question that I
force.
asked Brenda. If
Yeah.
you are tracking the sun with a mount, what do you observe move?
The entire night sky. All the stars and the sun will all move in unison.
Okay, so you do see those move, and you see the mount move, right?
Yeah, in order to keep tracking the exact position for a specific object, whether it's the sun or a specific star, it would have to move with that entire thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's all my point is we do observe those things move. Now, why
but
would
you
our
don't
base
observe
position
parallax.
be
The
that
same
we're
way-
moving and they're not moving?
But-
Why would that
okay,
be
but-
our
but
base
back-
position?
Because back to my carousel case. When
No.
you're
I
when you're looking
understand your
at your
carousel
mother,
case. I'm
yeah, but when
asking
you're
you
looking
why
at
our
your
base
mother-
position would be that we're moving and they're not moving.
because
That's
the
not analogous. The
entire
carousel is not
because
analogous.
parallax-
I'm gonna show
Well,
you
let
why.
him
is
answer.
moving.
Parallax.
Oh, okay.
Because everything's moving together in unison, the same way that all the people, including your mother, are moving on the carousel.
It's like if you put yourself in the middle of the carousel, in the center, you're gonna see everything moving around in the carousel.
Are
and
you still
you're
moving?
not gonna be moving.
Hey, are you still moving?
You're not
now?
gonna be moving. You're
Oh,
not gonna be moving.
You're not
gonna
moving
be
on
in
the
center. Yeah,
carousel.
no, you're not.
You
You're
felt
not.
like
In
Yeah,
the
you're
very
not moving.
center,
Okay.
you're simply rotating.
No, you're
and
not.
moving.
You're not,
That's what
dude.
you
I
do.
mean, you're observing the carousel move around you.
Bro, come on, man.
Huh.
We're not
Come on,
debunking.
man.
We're not going to this point where we're like fucking brain dead, are we?
So when I
No,
said
Well,
that
you guys agree with what he just said? Or
You're
does
the
anyone
one that
agree with what he
brain
just
dead,
said?
idiot.
I see. You agree with what he just said? We're not moving.
Absolutely.
You're a fucking moron and a follower.
You think that the carousel is moving and the person is moving as well? You're
You
an
not
idiot.
think that you're
listen.
moving?
That's
Hey,
rich coming
moron,
from
you
you,
not think that you're
bro.
moving too?
That's rich coming from you. You just told this guy, "Oh, you're a genius. Can I follow? I want to follow you like a fucking shippo."
Earth is life, $5. Just the fact that setting an equatorial telescope mount with the polar axis of the Earth to track stars shows that the Earth is rotating. I understand that is your position, but obviously we have a different opinion about what's happening in that case. I think you're just pointing the telescope. You're orienting it towards the center, yeah, but you're not setting it in line with the rotation. So there's a slight difference there.
Whether you're the one moving or your mother's the one moving, you still have to move your eyes to see her and to keep focus on her. That's the same way in the sky. In order to keep some track of the sun, you still have to move your eyes or the telescope.
Move your
What do you
eyes.
mean?
Listen to
It's
whether-
identical.
Oh my God, you guys are
It is
kindergarten, man.
identical
Dude,
whether
if you don't
everything's
move your
moving or
eyebrow,
just
You're an embarrassment to ballers.
if you
all
don't, you
over
move
the
your
world.
eyes, you're on a flat Earth. If you do move your eyes, you're on a globe Earth. You don't
But why would
understand
we
how
as-
this. It's not deep. It's not a hard thing to comprehend.
Why
I
would we
hope everybody's
assume? Why
listening
would we
to this.
assume
Oh.
that we're the ones moving? Why would that be
Because-
our base assumption? So we observe these things
Really?
moving. We observe the mount moving. We observe the things in the sky moving. Why is our immediate conclusion, our base position, I must be moving?
There's only
For the-
two things, Brandon. There's only two things that can be happening. You're either moving or not moving. That's the problem. That's the thing. You can't differentiate when you're moving or not moving.
Let me ask you on this carousel
But
thing.
the original question was
incorrect.
We don't observe those things move. That was the original statement that I was responding to. And I'm saying, yes, we do.
Let me answer it.
Why would our base assumption
They already
be?
told you, Brandon. Brandon, they already told you.
It's subjective, though.
Brandon, they already told you, Brandon, that the reason we know we're moving is because the sun does not change size. If
I'm arguing with you, man. I love
something is
arguing with you.
moving away from you, it will change size.
It does change size. I just posted a video of somebody. I just posted the video. Should I post it again?
Not
Yeah,
during
do it
the
again.
day.
It does change size. It's easily observable and replicatable.
It's not easily observable.
Is there a solar filter on it, or is it just some dude with glare?
It's some dude with glare.
You can do it without a solar filter or with a solar filter.
Yeah, I'd love to see it with one. I'd love to see one with one. If you're going to show me one without one, then how am I supposed to judge whether I can do it the same with both ways?
Speaking out of ignorance, man. The sun changes size. Sometimes it splits off into
Brian,
three.
you're most ignorant here, so. Don't talk shit at Brian, please.
You get a solar filter, you see a medium sun in the middle and two little suns during sun.
Bullshit. That's a fucking telescope that's never been elevated, right? Brian, are you seriously going after what fucking that dumbass TJ Weiss said, or whatever, DJ whatever? Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the only dumbass I've heard say that.
You know what a sundog is, bro? Do you know what a sundog is?
I know what a sundog is. You can only have it when you have. Are you serious right now? You have to have a lens in front of your face.
Something you have no idea about, dude.
You see a sundog. Hey, can you? Never mind, dude. Whatever.
You don't need a lens.
It's like talking to a fucking retard, bro. You need to shut up and let them with actual arguments.
Let's hear what Gleam has to say.
Oh, Gleam's here. All right, Gleam's here. Gleam's the smartest guy you guys got.
He does use a solar filter in that video I
Kids in bed, but you're chatting a load of
No,
rubbish.
he doesn't
in
use
there.
a solar filter.
Hold on, guys. Let's hear what Gleam has to say.
Yeah, you're chatting a load of rubbish for starters on the relativity side. On relativity, either can be thought as moving. You just
We're not
swap
talking
reference
relativity.
frame.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
talking
you
about
are.
relativity, though. If
You
we're
were
talking
about
relativity,
what's
it's changed my
moving.
mindset.
Einstein is well known as being quoted as saying the struggle,
But
the
you don't
violent
know
struggle.
Einstein. You don't understand Einstein at all.
You can't tell me what
Why aren't you letting him finish,
Yeah,
Brenda?
so quote things you don't understand.
Look, all
Why
these
are you
scumbags
interrupting me?
take
Are you
people off.
scared?
Look at it. Where the fuck are the mods here,
Are you
man?
scared? Anyway,
Sorry, what's
no
that,
mods,
SE?
it's Friday, isn't it?
Good evening.
I'm saying, Brandon, you're
It's
letting
Friday
these guys
night,
go on
SE.
and on.
Hey, I see there's smart people
There's the
talking right now.
mods,
Thank
SE.
you. Sorry.
No,
Fight
but
Club today.
Einstein and the evolution of physics. I'll put it up here. It said the struggle. I'll do it word for word for you, Brenda.
Me too. Me too. I'm here in this conversation.
It was his. Here we go. Straight away. The struggle so violent in the early days of science between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus would then be quite meaningless. Either coordinate system could be used with equal justification. The two sentences, the sun is at rest and the earth moves, or the sun moves and the earth is at rest. Oh, so much just popped up. Would
You're on.
would simply mean two different conventions concerning two different coordinate systems.
Yes, but Einstein went further on this thought. Wait, Brian. Einstein went further in this thought, and you're not explaining what he did further because he investigated it more, or had people investigate it more.
If you
and saw that.
If you
What's
just
the next
say-
question you would ask? I got a
That's
question.
just
for
the
you.
quote. That's the whole quote.
That's fine, clean, and you're using it as your evidence. That's fine.
It's not
I'll
evidence.
just tell you what's
That
the next
is
thing you would
what
do,
it
clean.
is.
Clean. What's the next thing you would do after someone
Tell
said
you
that?
you're wrong.
How would you investigate it?
Because I didn't actually get that from Bertie.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
now
I
therefore you
actually
can't.
got that
You can't
from
know what
this.
the guy was thinking.
Let him talk, you fucking chimpanzee.
I get it from a guy called
Just for a
Muck.
second.
Have you heard of the guy called Muck? Ernst Muck.
Hey, what's his thoughts? I'll see if I agree with it. It doesn't matter if I knew him because if I agree with what he was thinking, then I could say yes. I agree with it.
I know his thoughts were exactly opposite to you.
You don't
because
know.
he-
You can't say you know what someone else is thinking.
No,
Clean.
I can because you've just
That's
given me
very
your thoughts.
egotistical. You cannot do that.
You just give me your thoughts, And let me just tell you what his thought was. His most
Okay,
famous
what, I
thought.
want to know your thought because I don't give a fuck. That guy's dead.
No. I'm going to tell you how he disagrees.
Is he
with you.
dead? Does he think the Earth is a globe? I want to know your thoughts, Gleam, not someone
So
dead
the
dude's
Earth is a
thoughts.
globe, but that's got nothing to do with it. You're trying to
does.
obfuscate away from something.
It does though,
Yeah.
because you're
It's random, Yoshi. It's
Look
fucking
at you,
idiot.
panicking.
See,
Are you
I'm
on
not talking
coke?
to you, man.
Are you on coke, mate? Seriously,
No,
you are
I
proper
was
coked
like
up.
back in the 2001. I probably was. Yeah.
It's still.
But
It's
my-
still
Do your job and mute this guy.
Are you a
Yeah.
DJ? Are you a
Listen,
DJ?
SB, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna mod you too.
Listen to me. Ernst
Hey, you-
Mach said, if I put my arms stretched out and look up to the stars and start spinning, is it me that is actually spinning, or is the whole universe spinning around a static me?
Ooh,
Awesome.
a
Wait,
deepity, a
Awesome.
deepity.
Now,
Right?
That's how
Now
we're gonna go.
listen,
Let
wait
me-
there,
let
wait
me-
there.
I'm just
That isn't
listening to
the
you. Can I
end.
say something? He's asking me a
That
question.
is the birth of relativity
You know
as
what- no,
Einstein
that's
It's
not
a
the first
deepity.
one.
It's a
Let him
deepity.
finish
Einstein
his sentence,
accredits
man.
him
It's
to
unbelievable.
Ernst Mach.
Yeah.
Dude.
Einstein accredits it to Ernst Mach. Go and
That's
learn your
correct.
history.
Okay,
you
so
twats.
everything that Ernst Mach said is Einstein believes in, or were they two different people thinking two different brains with two different
Einstein
thoughts?
publicly accredits relativity, the concept
Everything
of
that,
relativity, to Mach.
that he
Yes.
said that you just said, everything he said,
Again, you're interrupting
everything
him.
that Ernst Mach just said, I agree with.
I don't think he's listening, Glenn. He's not
No.
Yes, I am.
listening.
I'm listening because
You
you're
didn't.
saying one sentence he said. It
You
means
said, because if you
he
see
agrees with
something,
everything else he says.
yeah, if you see something move in the sky, that means that you are rotating.
You think it means
And
that?
it doesn't. You said it can only
You
be
think it
one
means
way
that.
around, and it isn't. I'm telling you on both ways, both Einstein
Could it be
and
both?
Mach
Glenn,
said
could it be
you
both?
can. Yes, because
Okay,
it's
okay, look,
the
he's talking about
coordinates.
relative
Could it be both?
motion.
Glenn,
Hold
be
on.
honest with me.
Hold on.
He's talking about relative motion.
Can you
and he's
answer me a
correct.
question? Do you
He's
think
not
it can be both?
rambling,
I've
guys.
just said
He
Let's
is, 'cause he's
try
not
not
answering my
to
question.
interrupt each other.
It's
Just
relative.
please, let's
Brandon,
try not
he's
to
talked
interrupt
for
each
the
other.
whole
Hold on.
time. Can I say something? I know he
Yes,
has a really
it's
like nice,
relative.
Tony,
like, low
Tony,
voice that
Tony,
sounds really good.
please try not to interrupt.
Bro, he's talked the whole time. He asked me 2 questions so far, and I haven't been able to answer it because he keeps talking.
Just
But Brandon,
slow
you're
down.
right.
There's
You're
plenty of time. Slow down.
Sure. How many questions are you going to ask before I can answer one of them?
You've
give me
been
the-
talking
just
more than
allow-
anybody
the whole
tonight, so you
time.
really got no room to
fine.
talk.
Really?
I'm gonna quickly
wait.
respond
Did
to
Gleam
the
not ask
whole
me
thing.
two questions? Wait. Stop. Did Gleam not ask me 2 questions so far? Anyone else in the crowd? Yes, you did. And you kept going and asking more questions.
He
Can I
didn't
you
ask
one
you a question. Listen, buddy. He didn't ask you a question. He made
Yes,
a
he
statement
did.
of fact. Tony,
No, he did not.
are
He
you
said
fucking
did.
stupid?
He said did more. Hey, moron. I don't know if you
said
speak this
2
language, but he
statements
said
of
did.
fact.
He said
Buddy,
did.
That's your
The word
problem. You
did.
don't listen. See, I'm
The word
trying to
did
explain
kills
to
you,
you.
moron.
He
All
did
right,
not ask
let's
you.
see what
I've
Gleam's
been
questions
quiet
were.
for the
Gleam,
past
are there
5
open
minutes.
questions that
That's
you wanted
fine, dude.
Tony to
No,
answer?
there was 2 statements I made.
The first question was if I'm sitting on the earth or he had his hand splayed out and he started spinning, what's spinning? I say both. You say
No.
you pick one.
I did not ask you
Yes.
that question, my mate.
He didn't
I
ask
did
you,
not ask
idiot.
you that question.
You said who's spinning?
Hey, Tony,
No,
you're a fucking idiot.
I said that was Ernst Mach's most genius thought about relativity that Einstein
Cool.
took.
Can I not talk to you about how but you asked it as a question.
No, I
Like,
didn't.
no,
That
I
is
asked him.
Ernst Mach's question about
That's fine. It's a
how
question, isn't it?
everything works. Do we
That's fine.
consider it
It's-
relative? And
question. It's
it
still a
turned
question.
out yes.
I say we both.
There's
Why
no
can't we both be
question.
moving?
That's not my
Why can't we
question.
both be
I have
moving?
got no outstanding questions. You're
Gleam,
making it up
why
because
can't
you're
we both be
spiraling.
moving, Gleam? In that, because you picked one side in that
You can.
question. You picked one side.
You can, but do you understand how reference frames work? You
Yes, I
said you
do.
did.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
I'm not an idiot. I don't understand what's going on here. Do you not understand that they both could be moving? You could be on a ball that's spinning, but not moving on the ball, but still spinning. And then the earth, and then the sky up there could be spinning the opposite direction.
The point
And you
is,
could be spinning, right?
is motion absolute or is
Is it-
motion relative?
Absolute.
to
Is anything
something?
absolute?
You said it yourself. There
I
could
thought you
only be one.
Is it
Damn.
absolute or is it relative?
It's absolute to someone that.
It's
Oh my
relative.
God! There's an answer
you
there.
Are,
There's an
you,
answer there.
you are mad.
But I don't think it's
relative.
absolute. No, I think it's relative to where you're
Yeah,
standing. But
you
there
are
to someone, it's absolute.
To yeah,
You guys think
to
there's a God?
etherites.
You guys think there's a God, right? So if there's a God, it has to be
to a
absolute.
lot of people, it's absolute
No, it's not.
Yes, the Neo-Lorentzian theory. And John Bell's fully supported it. The guy who discovered
one dude
quantum
supported it,
mechanics
like
is
7
quantum
billion
mechanics.
people. One dude supported it, and so therefore everyone else agrees that. Most people
Do you know who
said.
Hendrik Lorentz was? It
Dude,
just so
why
happened
do
to
you
be
keep calling
Albert
his names wrong?
Einstein's
It
professor.
doesn't matter. What did he say? Who cares? What did he say? I'll tell you if I agree with that. I don't give a fuck who
Is this
said
guy
it.
on drugs? He won't stop. What the fuck is going on?
Man,
Dude, what I'm saying to you,
Lorentz.
those three guys,
Okay,
anyone on my side understand what I'm saying? You got Brenda,
Tony,
anyone that-
calm down and listen. Yeah, you like that? Seriously, calm down and listen. This is what Hendrik Lorentz said. There is time dilation and length contraction. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
That is the Lorentz transforms.
That's
now, you're
your
just no.
your
That is
interpretation of it.
the Lorentz. No,
That's
it is
your
not.
interpretation of it.
How?
Are you saying that you know
Tell me
everything
how.
about the lens trans? You're trying to tell me you know everything about
No,
this
how
subject?
is that?
Or
No, I
you really
know
want-
that the Lorentz transforms are time dilation and length contraction.
But you know what that is, though. What that means, dissected each.
Why would I have
aspect
to?
of
I know.
what gets you to the
I
point where
know
you came up with the
that
word.
the Lorentz transforms are time dilation.
That's great,
and length
but you understand that there was a path that came up to that where he's like, "Oh
you
my
just
god!"
told
this is
me
Lorentz
I did
transformation.
not,
dude.
and you just said something wrong
You're
because your mind
quoting
is
someone.
going
You're not telling me
everywhere.
anything you know. You're telling me something someone else knows. I don't.
I'm telling
wow.
you what science is saying, and you're
No,
questioning
that's
it
not what
all, saying,
science
no,
says,
it's all
dude.
bullshit, it's all rubbish, it's all rubbish. And I'm quoting the top boys, Ernst Mach, come
And
up
you're
with
wrong.
the speed of sound. How
You're
am I
wrong.
wrong? How?
Because you're not that person. You have no clue what the fuck he was actually
I'm
thinking.
citing that person. I don't need to be that
That's
person.
fine. I don't care.
I
But you
just-
do, Tony? But you do? Hold on. For you to say that he's wrong.
Someone comes up to you and says about having a child, and you've never had a child before, but you
No,
do
I've just cited the guy's words
they're
and
talking
said this
about.
is what
But
he
you never
said
lived
about
that
it.
life. You never lived that life.
You are
You're trying to
spiraling,
tell me
my
you know what he's
brother.
talking about?
The whole problem here is that the
Absolute
like a
citations are
chipmunk.
not wrong. The
I'll
citations
leave
are
you
not
to this
wrong,
spiral.
but they're
It's
not
your
saying what you
interpretation of
think
it.
they're saying.
What do you
Your
mean? What do
interpretation
you
is
think
wrong.
I think they're saying?
I think you're thinking the wrong thing.
No, you shut up because you're coked out your head, mate.
Yeah, hold on,
No,
Tony.
no,
You're
fuck
off.
up.
Let's
Hey,
let-
man, you're a
let's
DJ.
let,
man.
You just
You're gonna have
accused
fun
me.
with you.
You just
Let's let
accused
Gummy
me of
Bear get in
thinking
here, Tony.
something.
Hold on. Gummy Bear,
Okay,
why do
Gummy
you
Bear,
think
what
his
am I thinking
interpretations are
about
wrong?
this? What am I thinking
Okay, so
that they are wrong?
so
Go on.
the very first long quote you quoted about Einstein and all of this, he was talking about coordinate systems.
Exactly.
Now,
Reference
the
frames
problem
is
here,
what he was talking about.
the problem here is that yes, you can describe coordinate systems with whatever relative you want. You can have an apple and an orange on a table, and you can say the apple is 2 meters to the right of the orange, or you can say the orange is 2 meters to the left of the apple. Both are equally correct descriptions. However, if you want to talk about other things, like when we talk about whether the Earth is moving or not, let's put the apple on a lazy Susan, so it's spinning. Now, you can still describe the positions of both, the coordinates of both, in reference to both of them, and they will both be equally correct, but there is still an answer that the apple might be the one on the lazy Susan spinning. So the coordinate systems doesn't give a shit who you're
I agree with that.
using
So
as a
what
reference
did I
point.
what did I what did
Someone
I
might
think
still be
wrong?
spinning.
What did I think wrong? Go on. You still haven't explained that
Because
bit. I
you
agree
brought
with you there.
that up. You brought that up as the counterpoint to whether or not we're spinning or the sun is.
Yes.
Now that
thank you very much.
doesn't say
listen,
anything
listen.
whether we're spinning or the sun is. It's
Now
just saying
listen.
that we can describe both with different coordinate systems.
No,
So that's all I was
because-
trying to say.
No, listen, because Einstein specifically said no optical experiment can tell.
Dude, for real, man. Bro, come on, man. All right, you're supposed to be intelligent, man. You're gonna come up back with that
What do
shit.
you mean? I've just cited
Come
three
on!
scientists that
Come on,
completely
man.
disagree
Come
with you,
on, man.
and you've just panic stated it.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm just exasperated.
Come
that
on,
you
The
just
man.
thought something
conversation,
big for
mate.
yourself,
Stay out of the
man.
conversation because
Bro,
you
how
want
about
to be
this? How about I have
involved. I
a
know.
thought that's
You
your
want to
own,
be
dude,
involved.
so you can
You
relate
want to
to
be
us. Dude.
involved. No, because I'm correcting your science
You're a moron, man.
misunderstandings.
I knew you were a moron this whole time. That's all
Back
good.
to Gummy.
Let's let
Gummy,
Gummy Bear
where
get,
did you think
go back and
I
forth on
think wrong? What did I think wrong about this? Because he was mentioned in reference frames. And that's where I stepped in. And I said, no. Einstein said, you can consider it's
You just
relative
answered
motion.
yourself.
All
What
did
motion
answered
is
yourself, man.
relative to something else.
You just answered yourself.
What
shut
did
up, you're
Einstein?
panicking,
Just a minute.
spiraling. What?
Gleam. What
Are
did
you
Einstein?
Gummy? Are you
Gleam,
gummy or
I
not?
just
Is
want
he stopped? Is he going to retract that now? Because
I just want
no,
to
I don't
add.
want
I
another
just,
conversation until he retracts that, please. Is
Right,
that not
Gummy,
a
the
fair
floor is
thing to
yours.
ask?
I'm not gonna retract that because that is the very obvious implication of why you brought that up to begin with.
You
Because
are
that's
aware I'm
that's
not
the
a flat earther.
conversation we were having.
You are aware
Well,
I'm not a flat earther.
that doesn't
It
change
does,
anything
because you
when
are
you
you
brought
are
that
saying,
up.
oh, you're intending to bring this up to prove the flat earth. I'm not. I'm intending to bring this up to prove your way of thinking, and everyone's saying, if I got a telescope, yeah, and I know that the telescope's moving as well as the sun's moving in the sky, then I can tell that the earth is definitely moving. No, you can't. Einstein says that. You cannot tell. You cannot tell. It can be either coordinate system. The only way you can tell is through massive load of research on the parallax. And massive, he admits, yes, but Earth is a globe. But that doesn't mean that relativity is invalid.
Okay. Yes, it is true in a very fundamental sense what you're saying. However, what I'm saying is that when you look at the sky and everything's moving in unison, is it more logical to assume that you're the one moving
Doesn't matter.
in
You
a
can
way, or
think of it either way.
everything else is moving?
You
Yeah,
can think
and
it's
you
valid. They're
can
both,
think
they're
of it either
inverted
way.
What's moving in
mathematics of
unison,
each
bro?
other.
What is moving in unison, bro?
They're the same maths, but
The
inverted.
night sky, all the stars and the sun all move in
stupid.
unison.
So yeah, anyway, you had no reason then, you just blurting out stuff just like me. So
No,
go on,
I've
Brenda.
literally
What's your...
told you that yes, in a fundamental sense, what you're saying is true, but
So don't just
So if
come
you're
in here and
sitting in
say
a
you're thinking and
planetarium,
applying it
according
wrong.
to you, it's more logical to assume that the whole planetarium is moving rather than the things above you.
it is more reasonable to think that you are the one moving than that everything else is moving in unison.
Really?
Science doesn't
Okay.
care.
So you think that the planetariums, they move the whole building underneath what's above them. They don't just move the thing on top. That's what you think.
That is not analogous to what I'm saying.
It's literally analogous. You're sitting there looking up at something that looks like it's moving. According to you, if it moves in unison, which it does in a planetarium, it's more logical, according to you, to assume that the whole planetarium is moving underneath that thing rather than assume that that thing is moving.
It's a very good point.
Or you could just accept that you literally cannot tell from that alone either way. So that would not be the way to determine it. Neither option is more logical in that specific scenario of only using your vision. You would need to use your other senses to determine what is or is not moving.
Yes, that is correct.
So, okay, so you're wrong about it being more logical to assume that the other thing is moving.
That was
or
the very
stationary,
original question that was especially answered by this was whether the sun was the thing moving. And now what this tells us is that no, it's not just the sun moving, it's two options. Either we're moving or the entire sky is moving. Now it is
and
true
neither answer is more
yes,
logical than the
and it
other
is
based on the
true
information that we just talked about.
logically, yes, and that is true. Logically, both can be true. But what cannot be true is that it's only the sun moving.
Incorrect.
That has been.
You literally
saying
cannot
it is
determine that. You
incorrect?
cannot. Otherwise, you're determining that in the planetarium, it literally can't be just the ceiling part moving. It has to be the planetarium also. That's your conclusion.
No, what I'm saying is,
yes, it is.
You can see in the night sky, you can see the sun and many, many, many stars moving in unison across the sky. Now,
the sun
in the planetarium, right?
You're going to prove it. You're going to use this fact. Apparent location.
During the night, you cannot see the sun and the stars. So let's not say that kind of stuff, please.
They act like they prove shit. I don't even know what the fucking sun is, dude. They don't know what stars are. They ain't proving shit, dude.
Well, I've
They
made
think,
my point.
they think they're God. They are not. They don't fucking know. They give their best guess. It sounds like a great story, but that's all it is, people. It's a fucking story. Y'all people who think you're God and you know exactly where these apparent lights are and you know exactly what they are, go suck off, man. You don't know. Just be honest and say, this is what we think. This is what this is what our evidence says. Be fucking honest. Quit lying through y'all's fucking teeth like you've proven it beyond a shadow of a doubt, because that is dishonest.
Nice.
That's kind of what I originally took issue with, was the claim by, I think it was Brenda, that we don't observe the sun moving. Just that statement alone. I think we've just established in this conversation, and you would agree, Gummy Bear, that that statement is a misleading framing of the situation.
Yes, in a way, but it is very important. What I said is that it is not just the sun moving, because the entire sky is moving at the same rate as the sun is.
No, it's not.
How do you know that?
Same rate, is it? The moon moves at a different rate, doesn't it? The sun.
Pick a star and see how many degrees per hour it drifts, and then pick the sun and see how many degrees per hour it drifts. And I predict that they're both going to have the same degrees per hour rotation.
Well,
no
that's
matter
fine. What
which
about the
star
moon,
you
though?
pick.
You need to study the
Well,
ancient cycle, man. He needs to study
the moon is
He's not-
different because in our model the moon is orbiting. It's not
So
just
not everything we see in the sky moves at the same rate.
Yes, because
planets
the
don't move at the same
moon
rate either,
is
correct?
also orbiting the Earth in our model.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the sun and the stars and distant objects in the sky, or at least what looks like distant objects in the sky, if you want to debate whether they are distant or not.
That was honest. Thank you.
Yeah, I've never really took an in-depth look at that, but I think that's correct based on what I know, that they move at the same rate. Yeah.
And
I don't see a
all
problem
I
with
was
that.
trying to say, and what seemed to be the disputed, was that since everything in the sky is moving, or at least appearing to move to us, the two options are either we're moving, or if we're stationary, then everything else has to move. You can't say that we're stationary, the stars are stationary, and the sun's the only thing moving.
Nobody
then
said
why
that.
would that's what he was implying when he was negating my argument. I don't know who it was.
Nobody, no.
It
We were
kind of
talking
was.
about the sun, bro. We were talking about the sun itself. You included the stars. If you
When-
would have
when he
asked us, do you think the stars move? We will say yes. We see them move.
Yeah, and that's fair. But when this guy was bringing up the aquarium argument, he said that just because you see the top of the aquarium moving, that doesn't mean that the entire aquarium building is moving. And that's the kind of argument that would say that would essentially the equivalent in the sky would be, just because the sun's moving doesn't mean that all the stars are moving.
That was to point out.
No, that's
let
not
me
true.
explain to you.
You're trying to make up how the argument should go when I made a perfect analogy using the planetarium.
It's like if you say we see the moon move at a different rate, right? That in the planetarium example, you can say that, well, the moon is on a different layer of a rotation, and then so you see both things moving, but they're on different layers of rotation.
Yeah. Okay. I can say maybe I misunderstood your planetarium argument, but that's what I got from it.
Yeah. So if I could explain what I was actually saying.
Can't play yak shit, Brenda.
Yeah. So what I was actually saying was that I don't see the sun moving in the same way if I'm on a merry-go-round, right, and I see a lemonade stand on the ground. Somebody asked me, do you see the lemonade stand moving? I would say, no, I'm moving.
Isn't that the same analogy?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
Not the same analogy.
When I look at the sun, I do not see it moving in the same way.
Analogy.
I look at the sun, I do not see it moving in the same way that I do not see people standing around the merry-go-round.
I'll
moving.
give you a
They
better
stand
example.
still.
I'll give you a better example, Brenda.
Crazy.
You're in the merry-go-round and you put a drone above you, still, right? You're gonna see it moving, don't you?
That has nothing to do with this example.
The problem.
Well, that's exactly what the example
No, it
should be.
doesn't. No, it doesn't. The point is that
The whole thing, Brenda.
my assertion
Brenda,
was that the
let's say
sun.
for a
We do
second.
not observe the sun moving.
We do.
We
But,
don't.
okay, here's the
In
problem,
the same
Brenda.
way,
Is let's say.
just a minute. I just want a complete sentence. I just want to be allowed to complete sentences. So I do not observe the sun moving in the same way that people standing around the merry-go-round, I do not observe them moving either.
You don't, what?
I'm on the merry-go-round. I'm rotating around. I do not see the people that are standing on the ground outside of it moving. They are not moving. I am moving.
How do you know? Well, in the merry-go-round, of course, you know that you're moving. But on this, that's what I'm telling you. On the air, how do you know? It's not the same.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not the same. Well, that's what we're saying. You cannot tell which one is moving.
You can go ahead and try to clear it up.
Silent. Let me steel man your argument, Silent. So this is I'm arguing for you at this point. So Brenda, the problem.
I know what a steel man is.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing anyways. It's a free time
Go
to speak.
ahead.
So what they're saying, Brenda, is even if you're on the carousel and you say, "Oh, I'm the one moving, everything else isn't." Let's say you're in a super special carousel park where you're actually standing still in the middle and they have everything around you on a conveyor belt running in a circle. And they start moving that in a circle around you at a constant speed. Now, even though you have the exact same experience as if you're on a carousel where everything else is moving around you, you have the same experience, and yet it's actually them moving. And that's what they're trying to get at is that, sure, to you can kind of try and imply that, but it's not true because the other possibility is that everything else is moving around you. And like I gave you an example of, let's say they did this super advanced conveyor belt that made everything rotate around you, you would have the same experience, and yet it's actually not you moving. And that's what I think their whole argument is.
If we were moving 20 times faster, would we feel it spin if we were spinning moving 20 times faster, you think, just out of opinion?
Yes, because you can feel rotation. Because rotation is acceleration. So at a certain point, the body can feel rotational acceleration.
But I assessed it's accelerating around the Earth about 18 to 20 times faster than the Earth. So,
its angular momentum is very small.
Yeah, of course. And it's angular momentum, but it's still momentum, and it's
Newtons.
Okay, so we should be able to set up, and we would be able to do that.
Yeah,
Besides,
the force that you would feel is lower than what the human body can detect.
It's an increase of 3 miles an hour a day.
Yeah, the newtons of force that would be on the human body due to the Earth rotating is less than the human body can detect.
Yeah, but if you were going 18 times faster, like I said on the ISS, why would you feel it then?
Yeah, if the Earth was spinning incredibly fast, we would feel it too. Yes.
The problem is that when you look at how much what centripetal acceleration is, or if you want to talk about the centrifugal force, is that yes, you will have more if you go faster, but it's also balanced out in the divisor by the radius of your circle.
When we try to in reality, bud, when you take an SR-71 and you try to bank just a little tiny bit. Okay, we've seen planes go in the speed of sound, hovering over the water until they're just completely out of sight. Okay, they're not drifting up. Listen, let me finish. If they bank too much, these planes can disintegrate. Okay, now when y'all talk about having things, and that's under its own weight, it could just totally disintegrate. And these are things going a couple thousand miles per hour. Okay, you got things.
The radius of their turn. Because the radius of their turn is much sharper than the radius of the turn of the supposed ISS.
It don't matter if something spins around the Earth a few times in an hour.
It doesn't matter, Brian.
The radius of the turn.
Brian,
the radius of the turn is very important to the amount of
Yeah,
force
Brian,
you feel.
Brandon or Brian, I mean, when they
Well, there's my point, man.
when those jets make those high bank turns, what is the feeling they're getting in their backs?
No,
What
that's not my
is the
problem, man.
G-force
That's
that
not
they
my
feel
problem,
that
man.
you're talking about?
Here's my problem, man. My problem is you sit there, you try to compare a train moving at a steady speed, okay? And if you jumped up, you'd land right back where you started. Yeah, but as soon as you put that train in a circle, okay, so if it's dropping like 15 feet per second or whatever, you're not going to land back in your seat, man. It's bullshit.
Due
Even think
to-
about it.
due to centrifugal force, due to-
Listen, you're lying to yourself. You're buying their story, which makes sense on the
Would
outside.
you feel?
Critically look at these.
Would you
I
feel?
don't buy their story,
that-
but I'm
that-
at least challenging to the
Brian,
numbers. I don't know what it is. But they hate this information getting out there.
Brian, would you, Brian?
They really
Would you
don't.
feel a merry-go-round?
Now, every time I bring it up,
a merry-go-round going
Perfect.
around at one run rotation per day?
It doesn't matter. Listen, if
No. Just answer that question. Would you feel the merry-go-round if it was rotating once per day?
how much is it dropping per second?
No, answer the question.
No, that's not the question. The question is,
How big
the merry-go-round is. Merry-go-round was
You
24,000
in
miles.
reality. How much is it dropping in 1 second?
no, it makes zero difference, Don. The question is,
No, this is where you're
hang on,
incorrect.
hang on.
Actually,
The question
this is
is,
where I've had people like Big Blue agree that you're incorrect. Actually, you
Okay.
have
How?
an increased amount of velocity, even though you're changing at a slow.
Kango 24, $5 New Zealand. The mental gymnastics you idiots have to go through to deny the simple observation of the sun setting. The sun setting shows the Earth is a globe. Simple. Okay. You say so. Watch the sun move, and that means we're on a giant spinning ball. I guess so. I can see where you would think that, but there's so much else that tells us that we're not moving, and that the idea that we're on a giant spinning ball is ludicrous. But hey, I get it, Kango. Earth is life, $5. Which way would you have to point the telescope to track a star in the Southern Cross? I don't know the answer to that. I think you would align it to this. Yeah, you would same thing. You would align it to what appears to be the center of rotation in the south, and then it would track around. So yeah, there you go. Thank you.
So either there's no
You
way either
wouldn't
for you
feel
or
it.
for me to
You
say
wouldn't
this, right?
feel it. You wouldn't feel it.
Don't get triggered, Brenda. There's
An ant
My
on
point
an ant on a carousel that's rotating once every 24 hours would not feel that rotation.
How do you know that, Brenda? How do you know
Too
that?
small.
Come on, hold on, guys. How do you know that, Brenda?
Every time I add a dash of reality, they fucking spiral, dude. It's a joke, dude.
Brian, can I try a different analogy?
Reality, bro. You see?
Brian.
He doesn't want any of this to get out, bro. If the ISS is moving in the elliptical orbit that you say it is, okay, the slightly elliptical orbit, it's changing speeds, it's dropping like crazy. It's circling the Earth more, multiple times daily. It's doing a giant circle, and it's doing it over and over and over. For the way you describe it, your RPM, that doesn't fly, pal.
Hey, Brian, can I try one more analogy?
It's all yours.
You were talking about like a jet fighter jet, sorry, that goes, let's say, what, like 1,000 miles an hour, 15,000, let's say 2,000 miles an hour. You're talking about how if it tanks just a little bit, it can disintegrate, right?
Yeah, that's what they say, man.
Right. So, for example, if you go in 1,000 miles an hour, and then you want to do a U-turn, and you do it in a span of 5 seconds, that's going to be a lot of G's, right?
Sure, man. Sure.
Right.
Listen, all you're doing is the math, man, to distance yourself from reality. I'm just telling you, man. But go ahead.
Okay, so then you want to do a U-turn in a span of 30 seconds. You're still going to feel G's, but it's going to be less, right?
just don't forget, it's accelerating in a circle, okay, and dropping.
Right.
Don't forget.
Yeah. It is
arbitrary.
It's doing a U-turn. It's turning. Yes, there's a rotational and what's it called? Centrifugal force, whatever. So 30 seconds is gonna be less than 10 seconds, on a U-turn, right? If you take a minute to do the U-turn, it's gonna be less. But freaking imagine, freaking 12 hours.
Doesn't matter, bro. We'd be able to detect it with pendulums. Period, bro. I don't care what you say, bro. We could get delicate enough pendulums and detect it, man. Not some faux shit that varies wildly. Y'all's claims, dude. And look, when we say gyroscopes on planes, they don't deviate, bro. You need to look at the videos where they take actual gyroscopes on planes. And dude, you might try and claim this drift sideways, okay? But the fact of the matter is it's rigid in space, so it would show us curving around the Earth on a forward on the x-axis, bro. It does not deviate on the x-axis, bro. When we see the sun setting, we are not falling over backwards, bro. I promise you, bro. I don't care what you say. I promise you, we're not falling over backwards.
Works, Brian. Not how anything works.
Hey, Brenda. I'm gonna fucking ban you if you keep coming in after I fucking mute you. How do you keep doing that?
You're abusing your mods.
He's the owner, you dumbass.
Fucking slammy sack of shit. Everybody knows that, man. But she tried to come in like she's decent, dude. She erased somebody's fucking hours and hours of work because she didn't like it. It's just, dude, everything she does, she's got people's strikes. She's got people's networks taken off the air just because she didn't like it. This person is a fucking Cannonball. That's my opinion.
He also scammed somebody out of $1,000 bet too.
He's mentally.
Chris Berry.
unstable,
Shout
that's
out
what
Chris
it is.
Berry. She owes him a
Yeah, shout out Chris Berry, man.
Anyway, I don't understand how she keeps getting unmuted. Nobody's unmuting her, are they?
I'm not.
No, he's just really sneaky.
Must have like 5 socks, the same name.
I wouldn't even know how. Look, Brenda, we all get muted. When you get muted, sit there and fucking mute until he unmutes you. That's part of the show, man. If we didn't do that, then we have no control at all. If he didn't ever mute me, I'd never probably shut up.
Hey, listen, I try not to mute people, but if I do mute you, don't take it personally, honestly. Anyway. So I want to ask a question about this ant on a merry-go-round thing, though, if someone wants to pick up on this argument.
I think it's arbitrary. They don't know how sensitive the ant is. You could say any organism could be more or less sensitive. The instrumentation is sensitive enough to pick it up. Why couldn't an insect? I'm sorry to talk in front of you, Brandon.
I agree, and that's why I told Brenda, how would you know? Because he just said yeah, he wouldn't feel it. Just like that. Like, how do you know that?
Well, I'm just trying to picture it with a human being. If we had a merry-go-round that was as big as the Earth, and you strap someone on the edge of it, and you spun that fucker at the outside edges going 1,000 miles an hour, are you...
Right, if we stand up right, they fly up 1,000 miles an hour.
I think it's you would feel it.
Demonstrate
You
it.
would absolutely be able to detect that you were in motion.
Demonstrate it.
Listen. Either, or if not, if you wouldn't feel it that way, you will feel the change on acceleration. That means if you walk to the center of the merry-go-round and then walk back, there's a change on acceleration in your body. You're going from 0 revolutions, like for non-revolutions, to revolutions. So
yeah. No, I get that you guys think that you would, but then I want to ask you. You say you would feel this acceleration, but how big is this acceleration?
All right, I'll tell you. How about from the North Pole, which is 0 acceleration, to the equator, which is 1,000?
Let me tell you, it's the same. If he slammed on brakes, he's fly off 1,000 miles per hour, bro.
Hold on, can you let him answer, Brian?
I will answer. Yeah. Here's the problem: is that 1,000 isn't an acceleration. Like I can go from 0 to 1,000 if I do it over 5 years. there's almost no acceleration. If I do it under 2 seconds, there's huge acceleration.
Nobody, we can take an airplane if you do it over 10 hours or 5 hours something.
Yeah,
There
so
you
can
go.
you tell me if you want to go from 0 to 1,000 over 5 hours, how big is that acceleration? I can
Or
do
you
it for
do
you
that
if you want
math.
me.
If do it. What would be the constant?
Half a mile a second.
That would mean that initially you have to have that initial speed. Okay, you cannot start with
velocity off the
0
chain,
fucking miles and then going to exponential.
Well, it starts off at 200 miles an hour, right? 1,000 divided by 5 hours. So you start off at 200 miles an hour, then divided by a minute. So now you got 3 miles a minute. Right? Am I on point here?
So
sounds about right. I just
So
can't get it in my head. I mean, you can show me all the math problems you want. I just can't believe that in that case you wouldn't feel yourself going 1,000 miles an hour on the outside of a, you know.
And
Yeah, they can't
there's another
demonstrate it
thing,
either.
Brandon, there's another thing. Since they claim that the air is with lockstep with the earth, they cannot say that the airplane is flying on a different speed than the what do you say? Than the air, right? That's their claim. They say that it's on lockstep. So right there, they're fucked. If you take an airplane from the North Pole, which is rotating at, I don't know, 0, then you go to the equator, which is rotating at 1,000 miles, you gotta feel that acceleration change. So you guys are fucked on this one.
So what do we feel? Acceleration or speed?
Well, it will be acceleration.
Well, what does the body detect? Acceleration or speed?
I think both.
Well, why are you questioning me? What is this?
It's depending on the situation.
Because the problem is that there's this misconception that you can feel speed, and but the body feels
you feel acceleration.
Changes in acceleration, whether it's
Change on
decelerating
speed.
or
You can feel
accelerating.
motion. Whatever you want to describe that as doesn't change what it is. You can detect motion.
If the motion, no, that's incorrect. Because if motion is constant, you can detect it.
Listen, bro. Is the change on speed?
You've never had constant motion.
Can I finish?
You've never had constant motion.
Can I finish my thought? I said that is the problem. You guys don't know the difference between the body detecting changes on the acceleration and not detecting motion. Yeah, constant motion, you can detect it.
I'll answer you.
You've never had that, so you can't.
Let me answer him, bro. I'll clarify for him. Changing on speed is what we call acceleration. That's what we feel. The change on speed.
Right.
Okay. The acceleration. That's the definition. That's what we feel. Like I said, if you go from the north to the equator, there's a change on acceleration in your model. Okay? Yep. That's Coriolis for you guys.
Okay, so the problem, is that if you do this over 5 hours, the acceleration would only be 0.0003 meters per second squared. That's
per
less
second.
than that's less than 0.1% of what we say gravity is.
I want to know what per minute, how much we will.
How's that going to help you, Michael Scott? You just said per second.
Okay, per minute, it's 0.02 meters per second, or per minute squared. Sorry.
You don't think I can make you feel on a car the acceleration of 2 meters in 1 minute?
No, 0.02 meters in 1 minute of difference.
Hey, let me give you
in
another situation.
acceleration.
So let's say you were in the X15. It got up to like how fast? I think it was like some ridiculous fucking number, 6,000 miles an hour or some shit.
I need to do that fucking math on this because I think he's wrong. Sorry.
So if I flew from the North Pole to the equator, in your model, in that X15 plane within the atmosphere, by the time I got to the equator, I would be, my tangential speed would be 1,000 miles an hour, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. It would take me about an hour based on the numbers of the globe model. I would go from 0
I
to
can get there in
1,000
3
miles
hours
an
and that's
hour in a
71.
direction that is perpendicular to my direction of travel within 1 hour. Would I feel that?
So if you in 1 hour, if you would do this, then you would need an acceleration tangentially, so to the left or right, depending on whether you're north or
What
south.
about an SR-71? Because I can
And-
get from the North Pole to the equator in about,
Hold on.
about 2
Let him
hours and
answer.
55 minutes.
Let him
Come
finish
on,
his
man.
Alright.
So if you were to do that, then you would need 0.04 meters per second squared of an acceleration.
His
So
math
it's a
is bullshit.
very, it's
That's
a
not
very
true.
low. Okay, tell me then. Can you do the math?
Tell me
So
how
you don't
you
think
did that, Matt. How
you
did
don't
that
think you
calculation?
would detect going from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour over the course of an hour?
No, because
Yeah.
every second you're only changing 0.002 meters.
That's
So
so
you're
wrong.
squaring it. At the beginning, we wouldn't feel it, but then we'd really definitely feel it at the end like crazy. At the beginning, we would barely feel it at all. At the
Well,
end,
no,
we'd be
'cause
overwhelmed with it.
it would
No,
be
the
the
way you're
same
feeling it,
acceleration.
bro.
Speed, we just concluded that you don't detect speed, you detect changes in acceleration. So if you go at 1,000 miles an hour, you don't feel the speed.
The acceleration you're changing, you're feeling it on a how you say from east to west. That's what we're saying.
Yes,
Not
but
This
the
is an
airplane. Not the
impossible.
you should be
airplane.
able to feel
The
it because
airplane.
you're
It
going
will.
at 1,000 miles an hour.
No,
This is
that's
an
not true.
impossible
He's
standard
so
to argue
fucking
with.
wrong.
This is an impossible
If I had a
standard to argue
pendulum,
with, though. You can just sit there all day and say, we wouldn't feel it. We shouldn't feel the earth move. We wouldn't feel it. And we could say, well, yeah, we should feel it. We should feel it. I mean, this is...
What is random?
The
What's the
question
point?
is why.
This is
The
as simple
thing
as it
is,
gets.
we can calculate and get a number. We can quantify this acceleration.
Calculate this,
and,
bud.
and then
Calculate this.
and then when we have this acceleration, I like, for example, the one I calculated from going from the North Pole to the equator. And then if I ask you, would you feel this much acceleration? Then
According to your calculations, no. We wouldn't at the beginning. We'd be overwhelmed at the end. Calculate
I
this.
just
Hold
gave
on.
you the most
Calculate
extreme
this.
example that we possibly could have on the earth. And you said, no, we shouldn't feel it.
Yeah, because it's only 0.002 meters per second squared.
Okay, well,
change.
this is
That's not
impossible
a high
to
acceleration.
falsify. Each of our positions is impossible to falsify.
Yeah, that's why we can't do it that way, because it's just such a low acceleration when you do it over
Earth
such
was
a long.
moving. I gotta get this out. If the Earth was moving,
Brandon, you
hold on,
conceded,
man. Hold on. You can take
What?
over.
What?
Listen,
I
you can
didn't
take over.
concede. How? What are you talking about?
Well, that
Yeah,
means that we cannot feel it.
We're
They're
both
happy with
conceding.
No, I think we
we're
could feel
both
it. I didn't say he's
conceding-
right.
Yeah.
I said each of our positions is unfalsifiable
Yeah.
because we're talking about
We're
what
both
we will
conceding
feel.
that. Yeah, we're both conceding that this argument won't prove either side,
You
because
took a road.
on our model, you wouldn't feel the acceleration.
Hold
Because it would be
on,
twice
let's
the
go.
speed.
Let's take reality for a second, y'all. Hold on, y'all. We get a rope. It's a mile long, right? We go up a
On
building
their
a
model,
mile
you wouldn't feel it. In
right?
reality,
We
you
hang
would.
a rope, right? At the end of the rope, we have a pendulum at the very bottom, and then half a mile up, we have another pendulum. Okay, on a globe model, it could never deviate. I mean, it would deviate immediately because the one at the bottom would be moving slower than the one at the top, so you could never get oscillation on a pendulum, man. And these are things we can easily do.
Use a heavyweight.
So
A heavyweight counteracts that. If you have a lightweight, it may oscillate forever because of this acceleration, but you use a heavyweight, and that oscillation that's occurring isn't enough because you're increasing,
And also,
the resistance to that acceleration.
Just to be
by
super
adding weight.
clear, what we're saying is that the airplane example can't prove this. Not that nothing can prove this. That's not what I'm
Bro, you
just
can't
to be
tell me
clear.
when I stop spinning with the Earth, bro. Therefore, it's all guesses and math. Okay, if you can
Frank,
tell
can
me
you give me
when
a minute?
balloons go up there with no atmosphere and they land back down a fucking less than 100 miles sometimes from where they even started, bro. So you're guessing, bro. You're guessing. And like I said, as
Can you
long as
walk
you don't
me
act like it's proven fact, I can listen to it all day and debate, but just don't act like it's proven fact. Because there's no point
It
up there
is
where
a proven fact,
proven
Brian.
All right,
the
are
Earth
you
is not.
done, Fran? Can
I
you
am,
walk me
dude,
through
but
the math?
bro.
Well, you want to talk about what you want to talk. We're in the middle of a point. You want to talk about balloons? Can you walk me through your maths that you did? to come to this conclusion?
Bro, for you to just ask him a question so he could blather on for fucking 20 more minutes, man.
I want to know how he came up with this conclusion of the maths.
I'm just fucking with you anyway, man.
What math is that? The force due to the rotation? The force for that?
No. In the example that he came up, he knows what I mean, he did it already. So I don't know why he's not saying anything.
Oh, are you talking to me? I'm sorry, I didn't know you
Yeah.
were talking to me. Oh,
yeah, walk me through the maths.
Okay. Just give me a second so I can. Okay, so it's just constant. I'm just assuming constant acceleration. Now, assuming constant acceleration, we have a start velocity of 0 and a final velocity of miles per hour.
On what? That's on the Earth, right? Not on the airplane, though. Not on the airplane. Get it right.
That's yeah. So it's the sideways, the tangential velocity that we're talking about,
All
right?
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, assuming constant acceleration, and also I converted this to meters and seconds because I don't want to use miles and hours. And then
that'll be better, isn't it?
What? Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing, just a different.
Yeah, it's just because it's easier for me, especially at least for me, because that's when we used to work with meters and seconds rather than miles and hours. It's just the result won't change. It just has a different units. Then you simply have that acceleration times time equals velocity change, and so we have a velocity change of 1,000 miles per hour or 447 meters per second squared, or meters per second.
Hold on, but that's not a constant though. Remember, H. How you call those things on the Earth, like H circle that is marked like markings?
Latitude.
Hold on, no.
Latitude.
What do you call them, Brando?
Latitude lines.
Each latitude, you're gonna have a increase. It's not a constant though. So you're gonna start from 0 and then you reach one latitude and you're gonna have a different.
That's what he's referring to, Silent. Is that if it takes you a particular amount of time to go from the North Pole. Hold on, Silent. Hold on. So when he says assuming the constant acceleration, it's that he's traveling across these latitudes at a constant rate. That's what he's referring to.
Silent Zero is correct. There is a differential increase from what if you go in a constant rate from the North Pole to the equator, you have to pick up tangential speed at a different rate as you fly south. I've got the numbers.
That's what he's referring to, is that it would be a constant increase while you go from 0 to 1,000.
No, it wouldn't be a constant.
Not a constant.
Why wouldn't it be a constant?
I'll show you.
Because it changes exponentially. Hold on, it changes exponentially as you reach the equator.
It's not exponential.
It is exponential.
Okay.
I don't
know. So it's not exponential, but if you want to be can I just finish? If you want to be 100% about it, then yes, because it's on our model, it's a curved surface.
We want to be 100% about it. If we're gonna dismiss it, we want to be 100% about it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, it's not exponential. Rather, it's following a curve. So it'll start out.
What does the curve has to do here?
Silent. This isn't drop height.
It works on an.
This isn't the obscured height when we do the calculations. It's
you guys are just like your calculations are completely wrong.
They're not though, unfortunately.
Well,
so,
I mean, you're not doing what I asked, so whatever, right?
No, but you have it wrong, Silent. What you're confusing is that the exponential qualities of the drop height when we do the Earth curve calculator, that's increasing exponentially. You're confusing that with the linear speed increase of the latitude. You're confusing these two things.
Are you telling me on the first latitude?
It's not linear.
No, are you telling me in the first latitude you have? Are you telling me in the first latitude you have 100 miles per hour speed, and then on the second latitude you have another 100 miles speed, and then on the third latitude you have another 100? Fucking dumbass!
I'm bringing it up.
I know.
I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, if you have it, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not linear though.
It's 100% not exponential, and we could probably quibble over linear and the curve line. Yeah, I understand.
So I had it backwards in my head. You actually pick up more earlier, it decreases
Yeah,
as you get.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, as you're going away from the axis of rotation, the first bit you need more acceleration than the last bit.
Yeah, I had it back.
Because towards the last bit, you're almost going, because you're following the curve, you're almost going parallel to the axis of rotation.
So it's not linear though. We can all agree on
Yeah,
that.
it's not linear. But the thing is, then the question would be, if you want me to answer what the maximum acceleration would be at this.
Yeah, so
Or
it'd
if
be
you,
600.
What?
Let me think. 690 miles, 186 miles per hour. You have to pick up. I think that's the max.
Of course, you will feel that
Can I
kind of
put a graph
acceleration.
Huh?
I'm going to try to graph this because I do want to see what it looks like on a graph. I'll be 2 seconds.
You know, another thing that about this falsifiability idea, we've talked about plane flight before, and we have had pilots tell us just flat out, I'm referring to Blue Marble Science and Bob the Science Guy, that there is essentially no difference to flying over a rotating spherical Earth compared to a flat planar Earth. Just the flying
Even though there
part.
should be-
Just the flying part. They always fall back on mapping out the, what is it called? The route. They always fall back on mapping the route. But the act of actually being in the air and flying the plane and controlling the plane in your model is exactly the same as these pilots would expect over a flat stationary plane.
I pretty much have no problem with that. Just the flying part. I pretty much have no problem. Yeah.
Right.
That'd be accurate.
Other
sure.
part's a whole different argument, but
Right. So many other things can be brought up. But yes, for the flying the plane itself, yeah, that's fine. Pretty accurate.
I haven't looked at this in a while, but we'll have to go through this sometimes because I have some real questions still about.
Have you seen? Look, have you seen that game on the on affairs where they spin it really fast, and then you can stand on the center, and then you can actually walk a little. Yeah, I guess I don't know what it's called, but you can start walking, and if you get to the middle, you can still hold a little bit as you walk more to you. There's no way you can stand, right? It's the same shit.
No, because it's that thing is spinning. What is it going to be? About 4 or 5 revolutions per second, something like that. So when we talk about that force being involved at 4 or 5 revolutions per second, and then we're trying to compare that to 1 revolution per 24 hours, at a baseline that is tremendously different.
Well, at this point, I gotta be a microscope and on that revolution, and then start walking, right?
Well,
or take an airplane and then try to get. Huh?
I don't know what you're gonna do. I would just use the gyroscope.
Well, because you make it so that little thing it goes 1 revolution per day, so of course you're not gonna be able to feel it. So
there you go.
it's
There
not
you
a
go. There you go. Stop right
comparison.
there. Stop right there. Exactly. If that thing is moving 1 revolution per 24 hours, you don't feel it. You're exactly right, Silent.
Listen, I know, but that's because I'm a huge size. You don't think if I would be big enough, like the huge, and then I walk from the center, from the North Pole, in 3 or 4 steps to the equator, you don't think I'm gonna feel that shit?
If the entire device is moving 1 revolution in 24 hours, and you are at the center, and you walk to the middle of it, you are not going to feel that thing is rotating. You won't.
Well, it depends on the time that you make to the edge of the place.
It doesn't matter. Take all the time that you need. The force that's involved, you are not going to feel it because it is not exerting a big force. Very, very tiny.
That's wrong. If you like I said, if you're going 0 miles, you're huge. You're a huge person, right? Even let's say it's gonna be 1 mile of change of speed. You're gonna feel it, Bio.
Not
But
if
you
the
gotta
entire
make that
thing is moving 1 revolution per 24 hours. The time that it takes you to
on
travel
this example,
the time that it takes you to travel any distance on this example doesn't change the amount of force that rotation is putting onto you.
It does. Listen, it does if you are a small thing in your example, right?
No,
if you're
the force remains the same, Silent. The force is the same.
No. Do you think there's the same force to me when you push me with the same force and then I throw like an ant? Do you think we're gonna feel the same force?
It's the same quantifiable
retarded,
force.
Bio.
There may be a different reaction. I get that. There's a different
we're
reaction.
talking
If
about
I
the
push,
feeling.
Hold on. If I push,
we're talking about what will you feel, right?
Listen. It's the same quantifiable force. If I push a 100-pound person with, let's just say, 50 newtons of force, and they get pushed back a foot, okay, that's the effect of that force. If I exert that same amount of force on a 200-pound person, they're not going to go as far back, but I've still imparted the same force.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the force, Bio. Don't play.
We're 100% talking about the force. The force is imparted from the 24 hours that it takes to make 1 revolution.
Buddy, we're talking about if we will feel that force.
Right, we're talking about the force.
Well, the person that is small, of course, is gonna feel that force like more hard than the person that is big and strong.
So are you proposing that we have people, and then we have 1/1000th of a person, and we can conduct this experiment? Or are we just talking about people, man?
Well, if you're gonna reduce the fucking Earth to the size of a merry-go-round, imagine what size I have to be, you dumbass.
I'm not reducing it. We could do the
well,
math.
You're putting me. Hold on. You're putting me my same size. And there you're giving the example of the merry-go-round going one revolution per day, which is the Earth. Of course, you're comparing it.
You put yourself in that machine. I'm just continuing
I didn't
your
put
example.
it I didn't put it at 1 revolution per day. You are the one who did it to compare it as the Earth.
Right. We can quantify that force. That's what I'm saying.
Which it would be what in the size of the merry-go-round? How many spins per day?
You know, we could do that, actually. We could, the amount of force that the Earth exerts making 1 rotation per 24 hours, we can scale that down to keep the force the same, but we would have to change the rotational rate of the merry-go-round. We can do that. That's actually pretty interesting. I might do that in a second.
Because if the Earth is the size, what is the size of the Earth? How many miles? 1,000? Well, I don't know. From side to side.
The diameter?
Yeah.
Almost 8,000 miles.
8,000. All right. See, 8,000 miles. I'm a 6 feet person. Imagine how microscopic I have to be if you want to reduce that thing. I will feel that shit if you move it. If you move from the center to the edge.
All right. So I understand that you're saying that. Do you have any quantification to this?
Honestly, no. Yes.
Right, so I get that.
That's where it's going to end up. That's what I'm saying. It's going to end in the same place every fucking time. None of us.
No, but we can quantify it. That's the thing. Silent not having quantifications doesn't mean we can't.
You'll just claim it.
Right.
You'll just claim
there's scientific experiments.
Mile-per-hour movement.
No. So
there's not. There's not scientific
movement.
experiments on it. There can't be because
I know.
about what a
Perfect time
person
to
can
interrupt.
feel or not feel.
Perfect time to interrupt. So what I'm saying is there are plenty of
you're wrong.
experiments testing your vestibular tubes and the forces involved for you to detect them, what they pick up, the sensitivity. There are plenty of experiments dictating and showing.
Bro, we're debating the way you're scaling it, though. The way you're scaling it. Your shit doesn't always scale the way you think it does.
Yeah, I know. That was a good time.
You know what I'm saying, though?
More personal incredulity. So I'll find the sources because I don't like making claims without backing it up. But
I'm not trying to put you in personal incredulity. You do that for yourself.
People saying you can't feel it doesn't prove anything.
Time to interrupt. I know. So we do have this quantifiable ability to show how sensitive our senses are to a certain extent. Obviously, some are going to be more or less sensitive. But
as long as you don't do the wrong math, I'm okay.
Then we can also quantify the forces involved on a rotating object or other types of
We understand. It's
right, so we
very
can do
compelling.
these things. Yeah.
No, you can't.
But anyway, so
yeah, great job, Bob.
Can I suggest we change the subject slightly? I don't know. We haven't talked about this argument for a while, but we used to talk about north-south plane flights quite a bit. And here, I'll just skip to the end of the punchline. It's kind of similar along the lines of what we're talking about. I've got this imaginary flight that is from Anchorage to Mexico. During that flight south, the plane has to pick up substantial tangential speed. Am I using the right word term? I always forget. Right? Rotational, tangential. Which one do you want me to use?
You know, Brandon, how many times have we been over this? You've already
Which
been,
one?
you already
Yeah,
know the answer.
I just prefaced
Why
it
are
with
you
that, Bob.
asking me?
Which word do you want
What
me to
did
use?
you learn last time?
Tangential?
What did you learn last time?
Tangential?
That you can't scale.
Okay, so I'll use tangential. So the plane goes from north to south. While doing so, it has to pick up this tangential speed, right? In order to make it to Mexico City. And we can get to the exact numbers. But my question has nothing to do with the numbers so much as, I'll just tell you what they are. I think it's 513. I think it's at 60 degrees, right? 60? Is that where it is?
Yes, I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Yeah, 60. Yeah. Okay. So 60 to 20, I believe it was what it was. So it's like 470 or something like that. What is the physical mechanism by which the plane picks up the tangential speed?
Brandon, didn't we talk about this at length once? What did I tell you
We've
then?
talked about this a few times. I'm wondering if anybody else has an answer, because I know what your answer.
I would like to hear the answer.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it.
So I want to know the physical mechanism by which the momentum is imparted by the plane to increase its tangential speed as it goes south.
Bob,
Vector
Bob, you
addition,
gotta
that's
change
exactly
your
how. Vector addition. That's exactly how.
You
Right there.
cannot increase your overall momentum by changing your vector.
You don't-
can only
you don't
change
change-
your
You don't change
momentum
momentum.
in one direction or another.
The momentum doesn't change.
It has to.
You have vector addition. No, it doesn't
It
change
has
at all.
to.
Momentum is what?
the
Speed
Earth's
times
changing
mass? Is that what it is?
No.
What is it? What's the
No.
what is it?
what
Velocity
you,
times mass?
momentum
Here, let's
has
look it up.
absolutely nothing to do with this. Momentum has nothing
So
to do
now
with the
momentum
problem.
has
It's
nothing to do with it.
Simple vector addition. That's all it is.
No.
You have a
Momentum
southward
certainly
vector,
has something to
and
do
you
with
have an
it.
eastern vector. All right, that's all there is to it.
Momentum
It's a
certainly
southward
has
vector
something to do with it.
and an eastward vector. All right, take care.
If I were to critically think about this, Brandon, what I would say is that as you're traveling
According to Bob, your car.
perfect time, guys. Perfect time.
According to Bob, you get Coriolis driving up the road. So he's not.
Get over it.
Yeah, I know. SE was muted earlier for interrupting. We're trying not to interrupt. We
we're
can still
trying not to
insult each
talk
other
over
and
each
go
other, but
crazy.
That's all right.
Exactly.
It's
So critically thinking about this, what I would say is that as you're traveling south and north, you are going to enter parts of the air in which they are imparted with the speed of the surface below it. So as you're entering the air is going to have an influence on your plane, and then that'll be essentially what your plane is picking up as you're traveling.
So you're flying south. The air is moving supposedly
Faster.
in your model in lockstep with the ground speed, right?
More or less. I wouldn't say
Okay.
perfect, but yes, generally, yeah.
So as I move south into areas where that speed is greater, the wind essentially is going to impart the additional energy needed to increase my momentum as I go south, correct?
I wouldn't call it the wind. I would call the wind totally separate from the atmosphere moving with this.
Well, that's what I meant. What is the physical mechanism by which it's imparted from the earth and the atmosphere to the plane? That's what I'm trying to get an answer to.
The engines give it to you by a vector.
So you
addition.
increase your engine, you increase your thrust,
No,
or
you don't.
what do you do?
No, you don't. You don't need to. All you have to do is change the angle at which it is directed. It's
So
vector
that is
addition.
magically gaining momentum, right?
Not gaining any momentum at all. It doesn't need to.
Nothing happens, Brandon. That's how they prove
Bob,
the globe, because nothing happens.
Momentum is mass times velocity.
No, Brandon. No.
I
Go
have
ahead
to
and do the
increase my velocity as I go
Show me the
south,
math, Brandon.
right?
Show me the math, Brandon.
Show you which
Show me
math.
the math. I can show you the math. Show me the math that the momentum increases.
He's telling you the math. Shut up and listen.
I'm asking you what the physical what is it? What did I just say? The physical how it physically imparts the energy to the plane. That's my question.
The physical mechanism.
Huh?
How are you increasing the velocity?
That's what I'm asking you. How is the velocity being increased? The overall velocity of the plane has to increase.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
What? It's just going to travel within
does.
the atmosphere. It has an airspeed.
Yeah, it's the same airspeed the whole time. That's the momentum right there.
Right.
Maybe the same airspeed the whole time, but the Earth is supposedly rotating faster, which means the plane needs to increase its velocity to keep up with the Earth as it goes south.
Yeah, it's just traveling within the air.
Increase its
How does traveling through the air impart the extra momentum to the plane?
It does not change its airspeed. It doesn't change its movement.
Of the air, you ain't talking about shit.
Here, look,
I can't believe they haven't started talking about it
Not
yet.
at all. It does not change its speed at all, Brandon.
It has to change its speed, Bob.
Why do you keep asking the same question?
Because you've never given a satisfactory answer. You dance around and obfuscate every time.
Overall speed.
Your answer is essentially magic.
Plane does not change. Talking over me all you want, but the airspeed does not change. Therefore, the momentum does
We're not
not
talking about the airspeed, Bob. We're talking about the speed from the outside reference frame, the non-rotating reference frame, Bob. The absolute speed of the plane.
You already answered the question fully.
The absolute speed of the plane has to increase as the plane flies south, correct?
No.
Well, now you're just lying.
Yeah, I know, man. He'll say anything, dude. The way to expose his stupid ass.
You want to take
Show
your
me
answer
the map,
back?
Brandon. It doesn't change. No, I don't. The plane doesn't change speed at all.
reality, Bob. Who gives a shit what your math says? We want to actually see these
It
things
doesn't
happening.
change speed. Period.
No, we know.
It does not change speed.
Yeah, we know.
So it doesn't change
So
momentum. It
you
doesn't
have nothing. You have
It doesn't
nothing
change any
to
speed.
demonstrate that what you say is happening is happening. You literally say nothing is happening. That's how we prove this is
Hey,
happening.
Paige, do you know what he's saying? This is how I've interpreted this because he always gives a very similar answer, saying it doesn't change its airspeed, nothing is happening, it doesn't get additional momentum. He is saying, without saying it out loud, that the Earth is stationary. That's the only conclusion I can draw from what he says.
Yeah,
That's the only way what he says is true, is if the Earth is stationary.
All right. Well, you guys keep talking back and forth. I'll have a video on this in probably 3 weeks because apparently you don't understand it. When I review
Try and keep it honest this time, Bob.
I'll be more than
Try and
happy
keep it
to
honest.
show you how to do it. Take care, guys.
Okay, good luck, Bob.
Ciao.
Bob, when you do this video, make sure you add the rim velocity. The rim velocity.
I kind of want to use an analogy. We understand the rim velocity. I kind of want to use an analogy of those level escalators. I don't know the walkways like at airports when you get on them. If you're traveling 5 miles an hour and that thing's going 5 miles an hour, what are you changing? What you're doing when you get on one? What are you doing?
Excellent point. Hold on, let me answer this. Let me answer it. Let me answer this. Here's where your analogy breaks down. In this case, it would be like being on one of those things where the speed is increasing. You're stepping from one to another. And as you step from one to another, the speed of the treadmill increases. So
right, but again, what are you doing
it may
differently?
increase your speed, and there is a physical mechanism that I can describe by which that happens.
No, but again, what are you doing different? If you had a speedometer on you and it showed 5 miles an hour you're walking and you go from one to the other, I don't give a shit, go from one to the other, does your speedometer change even though you're on this moving platform?
Not relative. We're talking about absolute
Beautiful.
speed. We're not
So it'd be
talking
like the air
about
speed.
relative speed.
That's
We're
It'd be
not
like the
talking
air
about
speed
the
considering.
air
Nothing.
speed. See, you're doing the same thing Bob did.
It's just
Not
no, it's the
talking
same
about air
thing. My
speed.
speedometer on my shoulder is showing
Yeah.
5 miles an hour. Whether I'm on this
Showing
platform
we
that's
are
moving
flying
or
on a
not,
stationary
my
plane.
speedometer is still 5 miles an hour. So the
That
plane
is
entering
fine.
these
Because you're
different
just flying on a
frames of
stationary
reference
plane.
I
has an airspeed
understand
that
that,
doesn't change.
BioDuel.
It's the same thing.
But if I am looking down on this from the non-rotating reference frame and I'm watching this plane fly, absolute speed has to increase as it goes south in order to maintain its position with the Earth. The absolute speed of the plane increases.
Where are you viewing this from, Brandon?
I'm 2,000 miles above the North Pole looking down.
And not rotating with the Earth.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's fine. So yeah, it would increase from your perspective, from that reference frame.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, exactly. So all my question is what's
Perfect,
the
yeah.
physical mechanism that happens? And I
doing
haven't
that,
gotten a good
yeah.
answer
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, the air moving. The air moving is gonna
You're
provide
moving
a
in
particular
the air.
velocity. Yeah.
So the
So you would
still air
experience
that, we
that
can't
as
measure
wind
moving except
pushing
for
on the
wind
side of the plane.
doing
to
It's not wind.
increase your
It's the
speed,
medium
correct?
moving. The medium that's moving.
No,
It's
no.
like if you
See,
have
you're
one
moving
of those
from
The
rotating.
slower moving
atmosphere around me is
medium
not
to
moving at the
faster
moment.
moving medium, and in
Wind
order
is
to
just a pressure
increase
differential.
speed, that medium has to push on you, correct?
Yeah, that's fine, but I wouldn't call it wind. Wind is going to be separate from the
We all
medium
know
itself moving.
that we're not moving, that we never feel it because we don't feel it. It's a joke, dude. Well, if you recognize what you're actually saying, you'd see. That
Oh, I
you're
do,
just
and I
trying to-
understand it. That's a
You're trying
difference.
to
One day you're going to look back on these
It's not
conversations
moving.
and be like, oh, so cringe.
No need to
That was
project.
just so dumb.
Yeah, I like to hear their evidence that the atmosphere
How's
is
that
moving in
projecting,
lockstep
man?
with the Earth. What's
No
your
one said
proof for that?
So,
These
no
guys
one said
literally
Well, that was
projecting.
going to be my
Telling
next
me-
question is, okay, so the atmosphere is pushing on this plane to increase its speed. What is your evidence that is taking place? And can we detect that in any way?
And why doesn't that
Oh,
happen
boy.
with like the pendulum and stuff? Why isn't
Which
the
is
air
essentially the
around
same-
that pushing?
Sorry.
Pendulum doesn't use the air to move, but Brandon, for your if I have one of those,
But doesn't
rotating
it
restaurants.
swing from the Earth movement? Isn't that what's supposed to make it?
Yeah. It's not moving using the atmosphere.
So if the atmosphere, but the atmosphere is moving with the Earth. So how would you see a drift in anything, anywhere?
Because the pendulum doesn't use the atmosphere to push off of.
It's in the
But
atmosphere though. So that moving atmosphere that's moving faster, even inside wherever the pendulum is, then
The pendulum
you would
doesn't
never see
change
drift
latitudes.
anywhere.
The
I
pendulum
mean-
doesn't change
Sorry?
latitudes.
Yeah,
The
the
pendulum
pendulums are in
doesn't
different
change
places and they get a different drift depending where it is, don't they?
Yeah, but right now
So
he's talking
it,
about
if,
the
if what
atmosphere.
he's
talking about
saying
the
is
air
true,
pushing.
yeah, if the air's pushing things that are just flying around in the air, or things that are, in the air, if the
Right,
air's
that are
pushing
what?
on everything, then how would you ever see drift in anything, anywhere, ever? The atmosphere would push everything along.
Because there's
and
a
everything
force
would...
involved. It's just a very, very tiny force.
Yeah.
Right, but BioDual, do you have the
I had a
Yes, so show
modeling
us it.
software? I mean, seriously, like show a scale representation of the air being dragged along at the surface. Show how the proportions are, similar to the planes being, 5 miles up in the air or whatever. Stuff like this. Like talk
As
about it
small-
with
as
numbers
small as the numbers
modeling. You guys
are-
just talking loose bullshit.
As small as the numbers are, I wouldn't be able to even begin how to scale it down and still show it. As small as that
So
force.
yeah, you've got no proof of your claims.
There's no proof. Have you looked at all? I'm not saying there is proof, but have you looked?
No, what I'm saying about
Yeah,
I
we've
haven't
been
found an
looking
app
for
on my
years.
phone. I've looked at
If it takes me less than years to find it for you, I'm going to be very upset.
I had a question for Brandon. Is it okay if I ask it?
You can't show a ball with an atmosphere around it that somebody's created, air
I know,
pressure
that's
spinning
unreasonable.
in one direction
That's
with
unreasonable.
things moving in the other direction inside it. Well, that
No,
is
but they
exactly
have
what you're saying the
modeling- they
Earth
have
is.
fluid
So you need to prove it.
mechanic modeling software. You can assume the viscosity of the air. You can assume the scale of the portions of distance that a plane is above the Earth and stuff like this.
Sure, make something go the opposite way inside that.
Yeah, well, we can
make
do
it
that.
look
I mean, there's-
still while you're inside it.
Slow down. You're right, but let's work on it together. right? Let's not just tell them they can't fucking do it. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Well, because I think it'd be more.
I had a.
To get to the end. If you want to get to
Can
the
I
end,
ask?
we should.
I just like to see one of them present any proof of their claims at all, instead of us arguing
Yes,
about
I'd
their
like any
hypothetical
kind of real
situations.
model.
Brandon,
I would
just
make an
waste time arguing
entire
about
proof of
hypotheticals.
concept.
Hey,
for a
Rodney,
level
Rodney,
plane.
you know that both sides make claims. Can you scroll in the chat? Let me know when the last piece of evidence was shown by either side. It works on both ways.
Brandon,
But yeah,
like
what's the specific evidence that was requested? I just got out of my game, but I'm going to look right now. What was the specific evidence requested?
A demonstration of what you say is happening to the Earth. So a ball with pressurized air
So
spinning
everything.
in one
Just say,
direction.
are you saying everything?
A model of what you're claiming is happening.
There's
Yes, I
plenty
don't
of models.
think
I
that's
said
unreasonable.
specifically. What do you want specifically?
Proof that the
And
atmosphere
I
is
told
spinning with the
you.
Earth.
Thank you, Rodney. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
the
talk about
lockstep
Or just
atmosphere.
proof that the Earth
Gummy
is
Bear,
spinning.
I
We can
think you
start
had
with
a
that.
Can I-
Where's
question,
your
Gummy
proof
Bear.
that the Earth is spinning?
Yeah,
Hey,
that
I
was,
would like to-
thanks, Bob Gyro.
Guys, I would like to point out that if your claim involves everything, then yes, you need to demonstrate everything. Your claim involves everything.
Yeah, I know. Look in the mirror sometimes.
Gummy Bear, what was your question?
Brandon,
But I
We have no
can
issue
make a
demonstrating
proof of
flat and
concept
stationary.
with
All right.
with a level plane and water that's on it and pressurized air inside there.
can't.
I can
Yeah, we
actually
can't.
make a proof of concept. You
Yeah,
guys
I've
Can you
can't.
can you make
You
can you
don't have
can you
any
make me
reason
a
to
living
justify
2
why you think
centimeter
the
high
Earth is
elephant?
this way.
I mean, I've
Paige,
provided
can you
evidence.
I
make
can
can you make me a
a
5
proof
centimeter
of
long elephant?
concept for what I think we are standing on. Yes.
So
You
Brandon,
can't even do that to justify why you would think the Earth was that in the first place. It's ludicrous. You work backwards and wonder why, when you get halfway back, your proofs are starting.
Yeah, I don't know why you're fighting a
You
straw
got that
man.
foundation.
Yeah, use magnetism. You can get it any strength you want to match gravity on scale. So use magnetism.
Yep.
Show us orbits. Show us water adhering and all this stuff, and still get
no, we
equilibrium.
can use magnets. We can use magnets, and then we can put some
Do
what was
it.
it? Liquid metal. Liquid
Suck
metal.
up.
Yeah,
Okay,
Also,
but
we
where
can
you
If a
put
model
zero
is
the
made
airplane.
like that, it would already be made. There'd be little mini Earth models in every
because you would
classroom
complain that it's
showing.
magnetism instead of gravity.
Yeah, that's the whole point. But Brandon,
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the most pathetic.
Go ahead, Gummy Bear.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong, Paige.
no, I'm
Go ahead,
mailman,
Gummy Bear.
but
You are
but
wrong
with-
because as a
there
child
you
we
go.
just accepted
I
what they
can't.
told us. So I would have agreed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll concede. Go ahead, Neil.
yeah. So with the flight thing, like if you know that there's those restaurants that rotate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you have a drone on the like the close to the center of rotation, and you fly that drone to the edge? It will still be stationary in relation to the floor. It doesn't move left or right. What mechanism would you
Just
say
'cause
that
it's
happened there?
Well, the drone's inside a building, right? That's not really
Yeah,
comparable to the Earth in
Yeah,
your
the
model.
atmosphere is
Yeah,
not moving with the drone.
Yeah,
I don't
and
believe
it's not moving with the airplane.
Let's see what would happen. I'd be interested to see what would happen with the drone in that situation. Do you have a video of that?
Yeah.
Do you have a
No,
fluid-
I don't have. I just
That would be
thought
interesting
about
to
it.
do.
Yep.
How is that even comparable to the Earth, though?
Drone have it move like down the same rate that the Earth slows down when you going down as it is when you're heading away from the equator. So have it going like down and away from the equator. Give us these examples of how it drifts going straight, heading at an upward trajectory, a downward trajectory. This shit doesn't happen in real life.
It's not going down. It's not going down.
I'm saying make it go down. Make it go down because the air at the bottom is spinning slower, right? The air on the ground is, by necessity, is spinning slower than the air at atmospheres. My main question is, I want to know at what altitude does that balloon lose its trajectory? Because if I try and throw a balloon, it stops as soon as I let go of it, basically. So a balloon at altitude, as soon as it's out of the air, it should stop spinning just by, or something. It should slow down. At what rate does it lose its conservation momentum?
Brian, you know when you release that balloon that it has the same momentum in the same direction, right?
Push the
Dan, what height can we witness the Coriolis you speak of? I never get a good answer on that.
Wherever it leaves from is going to be imparted with the momentum that it left with. Wherever, at any altitude.
Did you see the video where the guy fires like a M60 up in the air, and it takes like about 90 seconds? I couldn't believe how long it took to land, but they fire it straight up, and then they wound up they ducked behind a car under a tailgate and shit. About 90 seconds later, it lands right like within 50 yards of where they were at, man. Where's the damn Coriolis, man?
Wow. Hold on. So
yeah,
hold on, Brian. You asked the question. Let me answer. This is very easy, Brian.
When I give him something in real life, he says, "Oh wow."
I'm about to explain it, Brian. I'm gonna explain it, Brian. You ready for this?
We don't want to hear your. We want you to acknowledge
don't ask the question.
In reality, bro. We're trying to break your spell.
There's going to be two things that will happen. There's going to be two things. One, did they make the barrel plumb to the ground? Did they, or is it just I shot what we think is straight up?
Acknowledge what I said, bro.
I'm asking you. Did they create a plumb to shoot straight vertical?
And you can plumb a cannon, and you can fire it in the air, and the cannonball is going to land right by the muzzle.
I'm asking a very specific question, and it's very relevant.
We're not talking about your math. I'm talking about reality, bud. I need you to acknowledge it. Let me know you're
It's very important. It's very important to know if he shot it vertical or if he eyeballed it.
If it wasn't plumb and vertical, it wouldn't land back in the same spot.
Right. Maybe it's going to be like 50 yards off or something. Right.
Who knows?
Right, no other
So that was
effect
relevant, yeah.
touched it.
Show me
So
one
the Earth
that
never
shoots
moved
plumb, and then
out
we'll see
from
where it is.
underneath it as it was in the air.
But did the bullet beat Jeff Bezos into space?
Yeah.
But if the Earth was rotating below the cannonball,
That's
it wouldn't
one
land
thing
back
the
in the
model
same
lacks.
spot.
Paige had a good point. Sorry, Rodney. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if the Earth was rotating beneath the cannonball, it wouldn't land back in the same spot, regardless of whether
Paige
the
had a
cannon
good
was plumb
point.
or not.
Man. They do not. Yeah.
Example.
In reality,
No,
Your own
we don't.
example
I
is
even
shit,
said to
Brian.
you, I can give you a proof of concept of a level enclosed plane that can hold water, can hold gas pressure, anything, everything.
That's awesome.
You
Now remove
can't
gravity
give
and see
us
how well that goes for
anything.
you.
Yeah, the
Flip it
problem
upside
is
down
I
if
haven't
gravity
put
doesn't
gravity in
exist.
there.
You don't have to
If gravity
remove the
doesn't
I
exist,
haven't
flip it
put
upside down. Let's see what
gravity in
happens.
there.
Yeah, flip it
extraordinary
upside down.
claims require
So are you
extraordinary.
telling me if I create an enclosed level system on my table here in front of me, that all of a sudden everything's going to start floating inside there because
Yeah,
I
flip it
haven't
upside
said
down.
gravity's in there?
Yeah, gravity
Why
doesn't
would
exist,
I?
right? So flip it upside down.
I'm showing you a proof of concept for my model, not yours.
I know, we're testing it.
So-
Flip it upside down.
Let's test this. Extraordinary
Why?
claims
We don't live
require
upside
extraordinary
down.
evidence.
Well,
Give us
you
any
do.
evidence
From
besides
relative
numbers.
to me.
Page's model predicts what would happen if you flip it upside down, though.
Yes, it does.
Why would it go in a particular direction? Why would it go up?
globe model predicts what
Because
when you
the
flip it
air
upside
can't
down.
hold it. Gases can't hold
Because
up
this is
solid
the way
objects
the
or
creator
water.
create. I'm the
yeah, I
creator
can,
of the
Rodney.
model, right? So
No, it
I
can't.
create it level.
You ready?
And
You ready for this?
that way up.
Yeah, go ahead and say airplanes.
No.
What
I'm
you
going to
say?
use a sulfur hexafluoride holding up tinfoil.
Oh, a man-made gas holding
Show
up
us it a
tinfoil
week
for a very
later.
short time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this gas metaphysical?
Outside of containment,
We're
bro.
talking about the
Supernatural,
gas
or is it
in the
part of our
atmosphere.
natural world?
Is our atmosphere full of sulfur
Oh,
hexafluoride?
I'm sorry. You said a gas. You said a gas can't hold up solids. So I'm going to show you a gas holding up a solid.
I'll be specific then. Our atmosphere, the
Yeah, it
gases
has
in
to
our
be something
atmosphere.
that's not.
Since you're not capable of making the logical connection of the conversation we're having, you know.
It drives them crazy they can't demonstrate any of their bullshit except for in containers, which is our whole point, that they can't do it outside of containment.
Just pretend you didn't understand that we were talking about the atmosphere.
Is the way they
on the ground.
Rodney,
Hey, guys, can I interrupt
you
for a
hear how
minute?
pedantic. You hear how we have to be pedantic, Rodney. Rodney, you know that.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah,
for a minute,
like
and
you
guys
have
can
to be
get
really
back to this,
pedantic when you're trying to convince
this
people that you can
conversation?
free fall going upwards and stupid stuff like
By
that.
definition, it is.
You
guys
kind of
mind if I,
contradicted yourself on that one too, didn't you? Say
By
it was free
definition.
fall because well, first Brenda said it's free fall because there's no
Guys,
gravity,
Brandon's
zero
trying
G.
to get in.
Oh, sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I just want to. I don't want to interrupt forever, but I just want to read these super chats because some of them are aimed at you guys. Earth is Flat says, I can't wait for Rodney and Larry GPS to have a conversation about surveying. Is that something that's coming up, Rodney?
I don't even know who Larry GPS is. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
He want to have a conversation with me.
And he's all right, guy. But Simon says he's locked in the book. He's locked in the numbers. He's not locked in practicality, real world, what we see in real life. They like to say that we survey ourselves. We see flat and level. We make our elevation models, but really we're shooting around a globe and we just don't know it. So they put curvature correction on our forefathers'
Don't
elevation.
misinterpret. Don't misrepresent it, Brian.
If he would like to come on and have a conversation about how he measures curvature, I would love to tear his arguments apart.
There we go. See if you can set that up. Earth is Life. That'd be pretty cool. Kango 24. The mental gymnastics you idiots have to go through to deny the simple observation of the sun setting. The sun setting shows the Earth is a globe. Simple. Thanks, Kango. Kango still thinks you can see the curvature from a MiG jet, so I don't put much stock in his opinion. But Earth is Life, $5.
Doing mental gymnastics. Oh my god.
Sorry,
Which way would you have to point the telescope to track a star in the southern sky? Earth is Life. Just the fact that setting an equatorial telescope mount with the polar axis of the Earth to track stars show that the Earth is rotating. Ali B says, shout out to SE Montreal. And Anamorphic Mind says, poor Crit, always a 66-year-old bridesmaid, never a 66-year-old bride.
Let me say something about the surveying real quick. They like to pretend that geodetic surveyors give us topological elevation surveys. And that's bullshit. Planar surveys give us elevation maps.
I'm going to shut the live show down. We can get back to talk about it. Thank you guys very much. I'll be back and we'll be recording, just so you know that it's being recorded. I appreciate everybody joining the panel and good discussion. Thank you.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Yep.
But yeah, geodetic surveying is for like border state lines. It's for your.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Earth is Life, Kango 24, Ali B, Anamorphic Mind. Shout out to the channel members. Thank you to the mods for taking care of business in the chat. And we will see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend.